These are the Proverbs of Solomon, son of David, King of Israel, for gaining wisdom and discipline, for comprehending words of insight, and for receiving instruction in wise living, and in righteousness, justice, and equity, to impart prudence to the simple, and knowledge and discretion to the young. Let the wise listen and gain instruction, and the discerning acquire wise counsel by understanding the proverbs and parables, the sayings and riddles of the wise. The fear of the Lord is the beginning of knowledge, but fools despise wisdom and discipline. Listen, my son, to your father's instruction, and do not forsake the teaching of your mother, for they are a garland of grace on your head and a pendant around your neck. My son, if sinners entice you, do not yield to them. If they say, come along, let us lie in wait for blood, let us ambush the innocent without cause, let us swallow them alive like Sheol, and whole like those descending into the pit. We will find all manner of precious goods. We will fill our houses with plunder, throwing your lot with us. Let us all share one purse. My son, do not walk the road with them, or set foot upon their path, for their feet run to evil, and they are swift to shed blood. How futile it is to spread the net where any bird can see it, but they lie in wait for their own blood. They ambush their own lives. Such is the fate of all who are greedy, whose unjust gain takes the lives of its possessors. Wisdom calls out in the street. She lifts her voice in the square. In the main concourse she cries aloud. At the city gate she makes her speech. How long, oh simple ones, will you love your simple ways? How long will scoffers delight in their scorn, and fools hate knowledge? If you had repented at my rebuke, then surely I would have poured out my spirit on you. I would have made my words known to you, because you refused my call, and no one took my outstretched hand, because you neglected all my counsel and wanted none of my correction in turn. I will mock your calamity. I will sneer when terror strikes you, when your dread comes like a storm, and your destruction like a whirlwind. When distress and anguish overwhelm you, then they will call on me, but I will not answer. They will earnestly seek me, but will not find me, for they hated knowledge and chose not to fear the Lord. They accepted none of my counsel. They despised all my reproof, so they will eat the fruit of their own way and be filled with their own devices. For the waywardness of the simple will slay them, and the complacency of fools will destroy them. But whoever listens to me will dwell in safety, secure from the fear of evil.
Grace and peace, everybody. Happy Lord's Day. We are back. You saw the thumbnail. You saw the title. We're just going to keep going with what we were doing on yesterday, which was, I'm not going to say end zone dancing, but we are exuberantly celebrating the debunking of all these lies that Candace Owens has been telling for the last 10 months. If you're not aware of what we were talking about, we were looking all this week we looked at the Tyler Robinson preliminary trial. And pretty much like box checking, every one of the false and phony and fake fan fiction narratives that Candace and the Cantifa cult have been spreading were just knocked down, from the 30-06 to Tyler Robinson was never on campus, to him not confessing, to Lance Twiggs, his mom, his dad. I mean, it was all over the place. I don't think anything that she told, anything she said was true. So we're just kind of, I'm not saying we're end zone dancing, but I'm not guaranteeing you that we're not end zone dancing. We are absolutely mocking, absolutely making fun of, absolutely laughing and sneering and jeering at Candace Owens and Cantifa, because guess what? They were wrong. They've been lying for better part of a year. And guess what? We're here to make fun of them. So that's what we're doing. Grace and peace, everybody. Hopefully you had a beautiful Lord's Day on today. I know I did. Had a wonderful time. I got a chance to, I always enjoy sitting with my mom at church. I know that's like, dude, you're 50 years old. Yep, you're right. And yep, my mom she sat right behind me. And guess what? I put my arm back there and she was holding my hand. I just thought that was hilarious. So, because from being a little boy to now being a very big little boy, my mom, sitting next to my mom has always been kind of cool. So she's getting older in years, hanging out with her was kind of fun. The dynamic duo and my wife were out of town, so hanging out with my people was kind of fun. Anyway, had a wonderful sermon today from our associate pastor. Shout out to Danny. Wonderful sermon about Christ will perfect his church, and he loves his church. And I think that's something to be encouraging. So shout out to you. Hopefully you had a wonderful Sunday as well. It's been kind of quiet here at Casa de Whitaker, getting stuff done, got my laundry done, got all that kind of stuff done. The dishes, they're still in the dishwasher, but they're clean. So shout out to that. Anyway, today, shout out to everybody who's jumped into the best live chat on the internet, or the most electrifying comment section on the planet. I appreciate y'all stopping through. Today, yesterday rather, we went over a ton of different debunk videos of Candace Owens. Well, we couldn't we couldn't get to the end of it, so I have about 6 more of them that we're going to go over as well. So I think this will be fun. We're just going to have a good time. I might comment a little bit. I might jump in a little taste, but there's some great content creators. I do have a body language expert. Got a body language expert. I know you all like those body language experts, so I do have that. But before we get too far into body language, we are going to do a little bit. Let's set the tone. Let's set the tone, the end zone dancing tone that we're going to have. We're going to make fun of Candace. I'm just letting you know ahead of time that you have my permission to mock Cantifa. I told y'all before that mockery will continue until morale improves. So we're just going to make fun of them. And I'm going to put a poll up. I'm going to ask you all. I have stopped commenting on her live streams. It's been better part of like 2 months, maybe even 3. Last time I did a video, one of her live streams. I'm thinking about doing one tomorrow. So I might actually put a poll out there and ask y'all about that and see what y'all think about it. Would y'all tap in if we just did a live stream, watch her show? Because I'm pretty sure we are on the cusp of Candace coming completely unglued. There's no way around it. There's no way around it. Logical, sane people who have a grasp on reality are fleeing from Candace left, right, and center. And who's left are going to be completely people who are totally given over to a false and phony and fake narrative. Dare I say, they might be reprobates themselves. But so I'm gonna put a poll up. I'll put a poll up in a minute and ask. I see. You know what? Wait, I can do a poll right here. Hold on. StreamYard gave us the ability to do polls. Here it is, right here. Hold on. And it'll only be one. Now, let me just let y'all know this already, okay? We're not going to be doing this every day because it's spiritually draining. But I do want to end zone dance on her tomorrow. I got this feeling. It'll just be the live stream that she does tomorrow if she does one tomorrow. I want to say, whatever time it is, I'm going to just say 6 o'clock. I don't know what time she'll do it. I mean, it is whatever. All right. And again, I might wake up tomorrow and say, no, I don't even want to do it. But I just got this feeling. I think it's going to be, I think we're on the cusp. Many of your prayers are being answered. Your imprecatory prayers are being answered as it relates to Candace. I just believe that. All right, here you go. Put the poll question up there. Y'all go ahead and answer that. Bada boom. Oh, that's pretty cool. All right. Shout out. All right, let's get at this thing. We got a lot of fun stuff going on today. That's why I gave up on it. Somebody said I can't stand to watch it. I can't either. That's why I gave up on it. But, all right. Okay, we might do a watch party tomorrow. Yeah, tomorrow's going to be interesting because she has been chomping at the bit, and I got a feeling it's going. The wheels on the bus, the lug nuts on the short bus have already started to come off. The wheels on the bus are gone. Oh no! I think yes, that's fair. That's fair. All right, so let's get at this thing. What do we got, Jason? Today, who do we have up the bat first? I forgot who this gentleman's name is. Oh yeah, JTV. All right, let's get at it. JTV. I'm giving everybody a chance to dance on Candace. I guarantee you, you don't see the poll? Wait, y'all can't see the poll? What happened to the poll? I'm looking at it. On my end, it shows. Let me put up here on the top. Do y'all see it up there at the top? Let me jump over here and look myself. I see it up there. Right there. Over my shoulder. All right, what do we got here? Where is it? Yeah, I see it on the screen. And I think I sound okay. Don't you see it right here? Isn't it right here? There we go. I'll do it like this. Wait, like that. Like that. All right. Let's get popping and locking. Let's get going, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, I can't see it, but it should do it. Y'all are wild. Okay, let's get popping. We got a long night tonight, so let's get at it. So JTV, let's come on up here to the front of the church, my friend. Let's go. Let them dunk on Candace a little bit. Let's go. Green hearts in the chat when you can hear.
For thee. But for a long time now, you see, you've gone crazy. Sorry about that. Candace Owens is continuing to spiral as the actual trial begins. You know, she's had the privilege of being able to speak nonsense for nearly a year since Charlie Kirk's death without the trial actually taking place, and therefore she really has been the one that can just share evidence or non-evidence and have everyone take it at face value. But of course it's all coming crashing down now, and she's having a spiral. I want to share with you this clip from Jeremy Boring's show. He's former boss of Candace Owens at the Daily Wire. He's now left. But he spoke to one of Candace's first supporters, donors, a guy called Mark Meckel, who reveals something really, I think, revealing about the kind of person we're dealing with here. Before we do that, though, I want to share with you, this is going viral at the moment. Let's have a quick read of this. Someone responded to Candace Owens. It's a X account called Data Republican. It's got nearly 1 million followers.
Holy cow.
And it's getting a lot of tweets. 65,000 likes. Wow. And even Andrew Colvett retweeted it and said,
speaking of
likes,
likes,
get involved right now. Today, Candace, just have a read of this because it really captures a lot about what we're seeing now. So let's quickly read this. Hello, Mrs. Owens. You told millions of people that Tyler Robinson, quote, wasn't even there. That you felt confident stating that Tyler Robinson did not murder Charlie Kirk. He was on camera, prone on the Losi rooftop at 12:22. Shot at 12:23:28. DNA on the screwdriver at 30 quintillion to 1. DNA on the rifle at 1.7 octillion to 1. He told his family what he did. His parents helped him surrender. He texted his roommate, I am sorry. He engraved, hey fascist, catch on the ammunition a month before he used it. You said police didn't even question Lance Twiggs. He was interviewed twice. FBI the morning after. Joint state-federal team 7 months later. His own attorney. Voluntary phone surrender. You laughed when you said it. You told Sean Ryan a shaped charge killed Charlie. The PETN was in his microphone. The medical examiner says gunshot wound. Bullet fragments were recovered from his body. A 3006 Mauser with Robinson's DNA was found in the woods. Neither side, not prosecution, not defense, has mentioned explosives, not once in 4 days. You said the shot came from below. The Lossie building is above the amphitheatre. You called Erica Kirk a clinical psychopath to an audience of millions. You said the assassination was an occult ritual. You said Charlie was sitting in the pentagram. You told people Israel killed him because you refused Netanyahu. You made over 100 episodes. You built a franchise on a dead man's name. And the hardest fact of all, Tyler Robinson's own defense lawyers, the people whose entire career is on the line to get him acquitted, have refused to make a single one of your arguments. They're challenging DNA methodology. They're doing their jobs. You were doing something else entirely. And then this person says, Charlie Kirk changed my life. He platformed my work when nobody knew who I was. He had my back when I was doxxed. I was the 10,000th most important person in his world. Now I'll never be able to repay him. So I did what I know how to do. I read every transcript. I watched every hour of testimony. I catalogued your claims. And I held them up against what was said under oath. Every single one failed. I don't know why you did this. I'm not going to speculate on your motives because that would make me exactly the kind of analyst I've spent my career refusing to be. But I know what you did. You told people confident lies about a dead man's murder, and millions of them believed you. And some of them turned that belief into threats against his widow. The trial continues, and every day of sworn testimony is another day your words get tested against reality. Under oath, on the record, where it counts. I'll be here for all of it, because just as Charlie defended me, I will do what little I can to defend his legacy and Turning Point and Erica Kirk from evil. Powerful words there. And, you know,
that's
I
crazy.
saw two other tweets that really caught my attention. I felt pretty profound. One said, Tyler Robinson killed Charlie Kirk. And the other said, Candace Owens killed Charlie Kirk's family. Metaphorically speaking, of course, or attempted to ruin their name. That was one that I found pretty, you know, summed up the whole situation. The other one that I saw said, I don't understand why all these podcasters who side with Candace Owens haven't yet realised that if, God forbid, their spouse were to pass, or if they were to die, that Candace Owens would create some whole kind of conspiracy about their own spouse. That's absolutely right. It almost reminds me of like when we talk about the self-hating Jews, and they think, oh, well, if I kind of cozy up to the anti-Israel lot, then they'll respect me. No, they actually don't respect you. They just see you as betraying your own tribe, and they probably don't even see you as trustworthy.
Hey, I want to add to that. Truthfully, that's the whole bit of allyship. You know, allyship where like, oh, I'm a white person. I'm using my white privilege to help the marginalized blah, blah, blah group. They don't love you anymore. And the black people that will destroy black people in order to try to curry favor with another people group, they don't love you anymore. They see you as weak. The best thing you can do is be strong and solid for your group and call out error. The best thing you can do is call out error amongst your group and be true. When you try to curry favor with another group by destroying the group that you're a part of, nobody cares about you. And I'm sorry, Candace is in that boat. She's going to find that out to be true in 4K.
So you're not even, you know, you're thinking you're doing this in the name of protection. You're not. But have a watch of this guy, Mark Meckler here, because he says some things that I'm sure many of you will find unsurprising about his initial experiences with Candace Owens when this was before she really rose to fame. Because I think it, you know, really speaks volumes. Have a watch.
I've known Candace for a long time, like since way before she was famous. And I first met her at a Turning Point event. She was literally sitting by herself. This shows you how unfamous she was. She was sitting by herself at breakfast. My wife and I went over to chat with her. And I have a habit of when I see young people coming up in politics, and especially if you see somebody who flips from the left to the right, everybody thinks it's cool. Like, oh, they're getting famous. They're on Fox News. They're on Daily Wire, Blaze, whatever. It's like so cool and they're so popular. it sucks to be them at that point. It's really hard. Everybody they know that they knew from their former life hates them, is attacking them. They're being, everybody's on them on the right. We love you. You're incredible. By the way, they're usually going broke at that point in their lives because every other way that they could make money in the past, all those people now hate them. Nobody's paying them. You go on Fox News, you're not getting paid to be on Fox News or whatever you're doing that's making you famous. And so I just tend to go up to them like, I just want them to know, like, if you need anything, I've been through this. It's ugly. I'm happy to help or whatever. And so I did that with Candace, and it was fine. We had a nice conversation. And then about 6 weeks later, I just felt compelled to call and check on her. You said something which I think is so true. If you've spent any time with Candace, you know she's extraordinary.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, she oozes charisma. She's articulate. She's intelligent. She's pretty. I mean, she's the full package as a broadcaster. And so I knew she was going to be really famous. So I called her up and just said, hey, how's it going? And she was frank, and she said, not great. And I said, what's going on? And she was telling me, it's just rough. I'm having a hard time making it. And I said, well, I have a kind of a litmus test question with up and comers. Like, what would happen if your car broke down tomorrow? And Candace told me, oh, I'd be screwed. Like, I couldn't afford a car repair. She said, in fact, I have a tire that's flat right now. I can't repair it. So here she is. She's becoming famous. She's traveling around talking for TPUSA. She's making virtually no money. She can't fix her tire on her car. And so I offered to help her with that. And I started paying her. Like, this is a story I've never told publicly. Wow. And I just said, well, what do you need to survive? And she said, well, I'm getting paid $1,600 a month. My rent is more than that. I'm watching my YouTube for monetization. How much do you need? She said, I need about $1,000 a month to survive. And I said, okay, well, I'll pay you $2,000. And she said, well, for what? And I said, just do what you're doing. Because she was extraordinary. And I just, we could afford it out of our nonprofit. I put her on the budget. I started paying.
And I've said this before, and I've been guilty of giving Candace a lot of credit. I really want to have a conversation with somebody who said that Candace was brilliant, that Candace was charismatic. I really want to hear, I want to hear this gentleman right here, because clearly he was bought in. If he's giving her $2,000 a month, $24,000 a year, I would love to have a conversation with him and parse it apart, because I don't see it. I did not see it. I thought that she just used a lot of words, and she spoke really fast, and she spoke very clear. I will say that. But in retrospect, when I go back and look at some of the things that I thought Candace had said that were like, oh man, she really cooked them. She really didn't. And I would love to hear, not like in 2026 timeline, but like, what did you see back in 2018, 2016, whatever this gentleman's talking about? I would love to hear, what did you see that was brilliant? Could you show me a clip that you would think is brilliant that we can go back and watch together? Because I don't see it. All I know is that she was just a very clear speaker, and she spoke really fast. Now, and again, and she would always say what she thought. So I do believe in that respect, like she would not spend a whole bunch of words to say today is Sunday. She would just say today is Sunday, and that'd be it. Okay, I'll give you that. But the brilliance, the charismatic, all this kind of stuff that people were saying, lauding on her, I would absolutely love to hear what it was. Or could somebody show me a clip like, oh, this is a clip when she was on XYZ, when she was speaking here, this is a great example. Because, I mean, y'all know I've done countless videos of hers, from lectures to TED Talks to, of course, podcasts and such. I don't know where these people they saw. Yeah, I just want to know. I just want to know what they saw. That's it. I hope that didn't sound harsh. I mean, I'm not mad that they did see something or they did want to help her, and that could be fine. But what did you see?
Her. And she at some point said, oh, do you want me to endorse Convention of States? I said, I mean, if you want to, but that's not why I'm not doing this. For that reason, I'm doing it because you're a talent. You're important. I think you're going to be famous and do really great things. I just want to help. So I paid her. I don't remember exactly whether it was a month or two. It was relatively short. And one day I got a text from her that was like the most vicious text I've ever received from anybody in my entire life. I mean, just cut me to the bone. Said something like, I don't think you are who you say you are. I don't think you're genuine. Don't ever talk to me again. And I literally, the look on your face is the look on my face.
Like out of nowhere, just like, what?
At zero like out of nowhere.
0 to 100. Yeah.
Hadn't had a conversation. And I basically said, what the F are you talking about? And she said, was I not clear? I don't ever want to talk to you again, lose my number. And I said, you're batshit crazy. Like, I don't even know what this is. And that's the last time I ever talked to Candace, right? But it was my first evidence that she's psycho. And the follow-on to the story is many years later, I knew Charlie socially more than politically. We used to hunt together. And so we'd go pheasant hunting and fishing together. And so I was on a pheasant hunt with him. This is when Candace was having her explosion with Kanye. Remember, she said Kanye designed the logo for Blexit, and he said no. So this is all blowing up. Charlie has now made her his communications director. We're on this hunt. Charlie's there. He's on the phone constantly. He walks up to me and says this really weird thing. He goes, I think I owe you an apology. I'm not offended by anything you've done that I'm aware of. He goes, you don't know? Nope. Okay. Like, you don't owe me an apology. It's fine. And I asked him a little bit later. I'm like, I don't know what that was all about, but I do have one question. I got this super weird text from Candace. Like, it was just the meanest text I've ever gotten in my life. I was just trying to help her. And he pointed at his phone and he goes, some people never change. And that to me was the beginning of a through line, right? Like, I saw, okay, I don't know what's going on with her and Charlie, but it's bad and she's being vicious. She was bad and vicious to me. She then goes to PragerU. And I kind of tried to warn the PragerU folks, like, can't tell you exactly what's going to happen, but it's probably not going to be good. She leaves PragerU. I get told by folks at PragerU, pretty ugly. She ends up at Daily Wire. I'm like, oh my God, my friends at DW. This is so bad. Obviously, it goes poorly. There is a through line from the day I met her that she is a vicious, psychotic person.
Yeah, well, she's certainly capable.
So really powerful words there from Mark. And I just want to show you also another example which shows how, Andrew Colvert, who was very close to Charlie, has been stating that Charlie was managing the relationship with Candace. So when Candace presents messages of text and things like that with Charlie, she uses that.
Let me ask you all a question. I have no reason to doubt that man had that experience at all. If it were possible to get those messages from Charlie Kirk and Candace, where you see that Charlie Kirk and Candace were angry at each other, she was sending him vicious text messages, saying mean things to him, so on and so forth. Would you want to see, let's say that exists, let's say it's accessible and it would be available. Would you want that to be put out there to kind of quash this whole narrative that Charlie and Candace were thick as thieves and just bosom buddies? Would you want to see that, or would you just be good with, nah, I don't need to see that? Would you want to see it if that were available to be shown? If Erica Kurt said, look, I got Charlie's phone, I have his iCloud account, I have all of his text messages, I'm going to show you all that Candace was definitely not a friend of my husband's, and show it. Would y'all want to see that? Interesting. Okay. I'm just wondering. I mean, I'm a little bit conflicted, but at this point in the game, how far this has gone off the rails, I'm kind of, any other time I'd have been like, no, I'll just let the dead lie. But I'm kind of, but now I'm like, if it were possible to show it, and Erica could say, look, y'all, this woman was cussing my husband out, calling him all kinds of terrible things. Here's the records. Here's the metadata. You can see it from, you can see it through our cell phone provider, blah, 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 as well as the iCloud, and pretty much guarantee that this is real. I probably would too, but now this is a good point though. I do think I'm starting to get the vibe, if you will, that Charlie was trying to distance himself, but he realized how much of a psycho this woman is and how vicious and evil this woman is. And he's like, I need to deal with her, keep your friends close, but your enemies closer, because I don't need her going crazy like we've seen her go crazy against Erica, against Charlie's legacy and Turning Point USA. I just was wondering, let's keep this going.
That to prove their friendship, Andrew says, which is so patently clearly the case, is this is not friendship, it's not close, intimate friendship, this is managing a close relationship. As we see here, Andrew Colvert dropped some receipts showing Charlie Kirk was trying to manage his relationship with Candace. As you can see in the text exchange below, Charlie told his team to wait before making an announcement about Ben Shapiro because he needed to sort out the, quote, Candace dynamic first. Remember, he didn't invite Candace to these events anymore once she went completely off the rails. Didn't invite Candace to his wedding. Remember that just about everyone close to Charlie claims that he was actually afraid of Candace. She gave him anxiety and had to manage his relationship with her delicately, so she didn't try to destroy Turning Point like she's trying to do now. The text just further backed those claims. Look, there he is saying, I need to sort out the Candace dynamic after it was announced that Ben Shapiro was confirmed. That is just one example. I know from also people that were close to him that were telling me how much anxiety and stress Candace was causing, because you're dealing with a master manipulator, someone that is prepared to lie for the sake of their own narcissistic ends. So that's really what we've got going on here. And for those who think, well, come on, people really do that? They just make up stuff? Yeah. And you know who are really familiar with this at the national level? The Jewish people. We're facing a libel today on a cosmic level, being told that we're baby killers and genociders. And yes, the whole thing is made up, but we're actually very used to this because this doesn't just stretch back decades. It stretches back thousands of years. And this is what we addressed in our brand new JTV Plus documentary called Baby Killers, 3,000 Years of the World's Most Dangerous Lie. For more on this, have a watch of the trailer. And if you want to watch the full thing, you can right now by clicking on the link below in the video description. The State of Israel, the one and only Jewish state, stands accused. Accused of genocide. Accused of targeting and murdering babies. And the accusation doesn't come from the fringes. It comes from universities, from the United Nations, from heads of government. It presents as serious, evidence-based, morally urgent, like the obvious, decent position to hold. But start studying history, and something disturbing begins to surface. Because the accusation that Jews kill children is not new. It's not a response to modern events. It's one of the oldest weapons ever aimed at the Jewish people. For centuries, Jewish communities across the world were massacred under exactly this charge: baby killers. The countries changed, the centuries changed. The evidence was always fabricated. In this JTV Plus documentary, we're going to pull back the curtain on three things. We're going to examine the genocide claim against Israel today and follow the evidence wherever it leads. We're going to show why the genocide claim cannot be separated from anti-Semitism, because when you call the one Jewish state uniquely evil, and the vast majority of Jews support it, you're making a statement about Jews. And most importantly, we're going to trace just how deep this goes through centuries of blood libel, all the way back to the Torah itself, back to Pharaoh's Egypt. Because it turns out the very first act of persecution against the Jewish people and the accusation being made against Israel today share something deeply, disturbingly familiar. And what we find is going to change how you see this. Because this is not a new argument dressed in modern language, it's a very ancient weapon being used again. To watch this JTV Plus documentary and access much more premium content, click on the link in the video description.
Shout out to JTV. Thank you so much for that. I thought that was a really good start to our dunking on Candace episode for the day. Shout out to everybody. I appreciate y'all jumping in and hanging out with us. Good evening to all of y'all. And, I appreciate that young man talking about, hey, I dealt with Candace. I supported her, all that kind of stuff like that. Come to find out it went south. And I would just like to know a little bit more about that story, if I could. I appreciate Jeremy Boring having him on, but I would just like to know a little bit more about how did they get there. But let us get it going. Let's keep it going. Yeah, that's a receipt right there for sure. I see some good conversation going on in here. A lot of good conversation back in. I appreciate y'all. Thank y'all so much for popping up in here. Let's go ahead. We're going to keep this thing going. So some people have asked me to check out the behavioral arts channel. Shout out to them. I'm gonna make sure the link is down in the description as well. So let's go ahead and check them out because they did some good work as it relates to the Tyler Robinson case. So let's bring that in. Let's go. Let's go. Green Hearts in the chat when you can hear.
He started crying a little bit and said he wishes he hadn't done it.
What's going on, everyone? Welcome to the Behavioral Arts. My name is Spidey, and I use my degree in sociology and psychology, my certifications in criminal interrogation and body language analysis, and my experience as an award-winning mentalist to teach people behavioral analysis and practical psychology on stages and television shows all over the world. The highly anticipated preliminary hearing for Tyler Robinson in the Charlie Kirk case has been making headlines all week. We're finally getting an inside look at the courtroom as prosecutors reveal the evidence that they intend to bring to trial, and the nonverbal communication is speaking volumes. From the judge's reactions to Robinson's own reactions to a very interesting interview with his ex-roommate / romantic partner, there is a massive amount of nonverbal communication to unpack. What did their body language, facial expressions, and word choice reveal? Let's dive right in. Okay, it has been a wild week for me. As a lot of you know, I don't like to watch only highlights and I don't like to comment in real time. I like to watch the entire source material and prepare my analysis properly. So I literally watched every minute of the hearing on day 1, on day 2, on day 3, and then on Thursday, which is today when I'm filming, more important stuff came out. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna just condense all the early stuff and focus on what happened today. So in this analysis, we're really gonna look at the major highlights, not just the moments that are making headlines on the news, but also moments that are very important behaviorally that not a lot of people are talking about. First things first, there's something really important that we have to clarify because a lot of news outlets and YouTube channels are mischaracterizing this and it's causing a lot of mass confusion. This is not a trial. This is a preliminary hearing. This is where the prosecution shows what they have for the judge to decide if this is going to go to trial. So all week I took some time to talk to some of my lawyer friends, and I'm particularly thankful to Emily D. Baker, or as the real ones know her, Shadow D. Baker, because she took an hour out of her time today to talk to me and answer my questions and give me some details on the legal aspect of this, so that in this video I could bring you guys not just the behavioral analysis, but some of the context that puts this all together as well. Okay, so here we go. We're gonna start with a great moment of nonverbal communication concerning the judge that is making major headlines. Then we're gonna go look at a key moment with Tyler Robinson and some insight we get about his focus and how it shifts, followed by a major point of conflict with the prosecution, and we're gonna end with the interview with Lance Twiggs. That's Tyler's ex-roommate and romantic partner, and his interview is loaded with interesting behaviors. Let's go.
You know how it works.
Thank you. And that concludes Exhibit 6.
Correct. Thank you.
Mr. Sturgill, you may continue.
Okay, so that is Judge Tony Graff, and in that clip, he's watching a video of Charlie before chaos ensued. And if you're looking at it going, what am I looking for? Nothing's going on. Exactly. That's the point. So you'll notice he's pretty stoic. We're not getting any emotional reactions in his face. He's just watching the video, and when it's done, he snaps right back into the courtroom and just goes on with what's going on. It takes him a second to just come right back and join everyone else in the room. That clip is not going viral. That clip is there for you to contrast with the clips that are going viral, because shortly after that moment, he was shown footage of the moment Charlie Kirk was actually shot. And if you compare his behaviors and his reactions, it's two completely different things. Let's start with this one.
Thank you. That concludes playing of Exhibit 7. You may proceed.
Thank you, Judge. Agent Holt, any more video? Did you collect it, or either you or another agent with the SBA?
Yes, we were able to collect video. TPUSA had a videographer.
What a great contrasting moment when it comes to nonverbal communication. First of all, you see the anticipation. He knows what he's about to see because he's sitting there and you could already see some shiftiness. He's moving around in his chair more, he's moving back a little, and he's staring at the screen, and then we hear the shot very faintly and we see him, he's taken aback. He kind of jolts back a little bit. And he looks at it, and when it's done, it's a very different reset from that first example. Because we see this slow blink as his head is lowered and turned to the right like this. His whole energy is dropped. His tone is dropped. If you listen to his tone, it's much lower, it's slower, and you'll notice he invites the prosecution to continue what they were doing, but it takes them a while to come back and pay attention once again. He's kind of lost in his own little world. So we could see that this had a visible effect on his emotional state. And then they submitted another video for him to watch, which is the same thing from a different angle, and look at his nonverbal communication here. What's the same? What's different?
And that concludes State's Exhibit 8. Mr. Sturgill, you may proceed.
Thank you, Judge. So any additional video that was collected by either you or another member of the SBA?
Oh man, you know what this looks like a lot? It's like when you see someone watching a horror movie that they've already seen and they know that a jumpy moment is coming up and they're kind of anticipating, waiting for it, but it's almost like that waiting for it makes it worse. Because we see here, as he's waiting, his eyes are shifting more than they ever did before. He's kind of looking away. This is avoidance. It's like, I don't want to be watching this again. We see him moving back a little bit. We see a lot of discomfort and anticipation. But when the moment happens, when the shot happens, it's a bigger jump. He's even more startled. Even if he knew what was coming up, it's like that anticipation caused a bigger moment. And then he moves back, distances from it, and then he comes forward, and we see this is very subtle, but his eyes are a little more open and more of a glare. And at that very same time, we're seeing activity down here with the lower teeth. It's hard to tell if it's a grinning of the teeth or if his tongue is kind of doing one of those types of things, but these are all very consistent with discomfort and mostly anger. And then when it's concluded, we see that his energy is still low like the first time, but he quickly concludes, and this time he's able to bounce back from it a little bit faster. So these reactions give us quite a bit of information about this judge, because I've seen a lot of people who have been in the business for a very long time, even shorter than how long he's been in this business, and they develop this ability to just remain unfazed by these things. It's just another day at the job. But this man is still emotionally deeply affected by these things. He's connecting with this emotionally. It's not just a part of his job. And we get a lot of clues from this judge that he does try to care.
Can somebody confirm, isn't this like Judge Graff's he's fairly new to the bench, if I'm understanding correctly? I think he's fairly new to the bench, if I'm not mistaken. Y'all let me know. Comment in the chat for sure. Let me know. All right.
Much as he can about people. Like, for example, anytime somebody sits on the witness stand, he makes sure that they're comfortable, that they understand that there's some water for them, and he tries to be very hospitable there. He also very often tries to be even-handed, and we're going to see examples of this coming up in this analysis. With the two sides, he tries to understand both sides, tries to be welcoming, tries to be understanding to the best of his capacity. He still has a job to do. And it's this even-handedness that he's attempting that gets him a lot of criticism from both sides. But at the very least, I think we can all see that there's a certain emotional connection with this man that isn't always the case. Okay, now we're going to...
So I'm wondering if that's maybe why, because we commented about it, that, again, the water, he does the exact same thing every time. It's very rote. He does the same opening, the same, make everybody say their vows and swear that they're going to do the right thing, so on and so forth. Addressing the camera people, making sure they got water. I wonder if that's maybe why he seems a little bit more involved in this emotionally, as Spidey is pointing out, which I think has been fantastic. All right, let's keep this going. This is good. Thank y'all.
I'm going to look at two clips of Tyler Robinson interacting with his lawyer in a situation that I actively look for in the real world. That gives us a lot of information about a person's focus. And we're going to compare the two moments to see what's different. But before we do me a huge favor, hit that subscribe button, turn those notifications on, and take a quick second to like this video, because it really does help with the success of the channel.
Did you have the opportunity that morning, you mentioned you checked on about 11 o'clock that morning and later to walk around campus that day?
Yes,
Did you walk along the Hall of Flags that day,
I did.
that walkway?
Yes.
Did you visit the courtyard that day as well?
Down below, yes, on the south end. I was down there.
Okay. Um, let's see.
Okay, I'm really excited about that clip and contrasting it with another clip that we're about to look at, because this is something that in the real world I look for specifically to know how dialed in somebody is to a situation. So let me really quickly explain. This has very little to do with my experience as a behavioral analyst and more to do with my experience as a live performer, a mentalist who goes on stage to entertain audiences. So when I was younger, building my career, I performed a lot in restaurants and bars and noisy environments where there was a lot going on. And as a mentalist, I need to bring people on stage who are focused, who are locked in, because they're easier to work with. So I had to observe the audience and know who that is. And a really great way to know that is you observe people when a distraction presents itself. So for example, I'm performing on stage at a bar and a waitress comes over to a table to ask if they want anything. And you see someone grab the menu and ask a question and turn their body towards the waiter and really listen to them. And okay, what's this? Okay, I think I'll have one of those. And then put the menu down, look it over again, and then slowly bring their attention back to me. Alternatively, at the same table, I might notice someone who very quickly turns their head towards the waiter or waitress, their body is still pointed towards me, asks a quick question, puts in a quick order, and then concludes the conversation and snaps right back to pay attention to what I'm doing. And I see it in their entire body language. That's the person that I want as a volunteer on stage, because that person is connecting more with the show, is enjoying it more, and is engaged with what's going on. So this is something that I've looked for my entire career. And a lot of performers naturally notice this. To what extent does an outside distraction pull someone away from the main event? Because that allows us to know how connected and focused they are on that main event. There's even a day-to-day application that I'm sure a lot of you noticed in your own lives, and it involves these guys, right? The cell phone. So if you're in a conversation with someone over lunch or at the office or whatever, and their cell phone's on the table and they keep looking over, or they pick it up and sort of doing one of these things, you can assume that you don't have their full attention. But if it's there and you see even they get a text, the light goes off, and they might look at it really quickly like this, but then snap right back to you, that's a very good indication that they're in this moment with you. They're engaged. There is one exception, though, to this rule that I've seen a lot, and it's often, but not exclusively, in games of deception. So like poker, werewolf, mafia, Among Us, any of these deceptive games, but we also see it in interrogations and trials, and it's when someone is very much focused on something, but they're being deceptive. And deception is an uncomfortable feeling. We don't like it. So you might notice, no matter how focused they are, they easily and eagerly welcome an outside distraction because it pulls away from this tense thing over here. So it's like, oh, look how important this thing is. Give me a second to decompress and come back to this. And it's so funny because I've mentioned this in previous videos, and a lot of you have commented saying, oh my God, when I play those games, that's exactly what I do. When an outside factor comes in, I pull all the attention to that because things aren't going so well for me over here. Okay, thanks for coming to my TED Talk on distractions. Now let's talk about the clip we just saw. So you'll notice Tyler Robinson is sitting down next to his lawyer, Catherine Nestor, and Officer Bagley is on the stand talking about what he did that day, where he went, what he saw. And one of Catherine's associates walks over to say something to Catherine. And you'll notice both Catherine and Tyler completely dial into this distraction. Catherine hunches over completely. Tyler turns his body a little, and we even see with his head, he kind of pokes up and towards the person next to their table to better see what's going on. And he keeps his attention there. When the person walks away, Catherine completely leans in towards Tyler to tell him what's going on. He's hunched over, he's listening to what she's saying, he's very dialed in. And even when they're done, this little conversation, she stays leaning towards him. Her attention is still connected to him. And he slowly sits back up in his chair and pays attention to Officer Bagley. And you'll notice we're not seeing a lot of stress, we're not seeing a lot of gestures. He's just sitting there and casually listening to what the officer is saying. By the way, the associate was telling Catherine something about the screens and how we could see them on camera, so she caught up the judge, and it wasn't a big deal, but we're getting a lot of information in how easily both of them were pulled away from what Officer Bagley's saying. It's unimportant, they're not dialed into this, there's this other thing going on here, this is more interesting, we'll take our time here, and then slowly come back to this. But now let's contrast that with a moment where Catherine is talking.
So I do wonder how much of that is a bad thing or a good thing. So he is a third party to the listener and the distraction. But I wonder, like, if you were distracted, if you were the person that was speaking, how much would you feel, what would you feel as somebody is giving you their full attention? They're not looking at their phone, they're turning their body to you, they're really giving you the attention. I wonder how that would, I wonder what he would say about that. I do like this, though. I do appreciate this, though. But I'm just wondering, like, if I'm attempting to show, future that I'm paying attention, so I pay attention, I turn my, body to and look at, I just wondered, would that make a bigger difference to that person because future, saying something important or whatnot like that? I just wondered. Anyway, okay, let's keep going.
Talking to Tyler at a different moment as Officer Bagley comes down and goes over to the projection to talk about an important image that the prosecution is using for evidence.
The exhibit.
All right, officer, if you'd like to step down, use the microphone, and as previously noted, describe, when you're describing something on the image, where it is located on the image for the benefit of our recording.
So, officer, will you describe for the court what it is that you're looking at?
So what I'm looking at is, I'm on top of the Losi building, which is where the gravel is on towards the bottom center. I'm looking west towards the tent, which is in the upper center, that you got a white tent. You can see the grass down there in the amphitheater.
So at first, they're kind of dialed into this little conversation. But the moment Officer Bagley is asked to describe, the moment the word describe is said, look how fast they break apart. And they both kind of go straight up, erect. It's not like she stays like this, leaning towards him the way she did before. She turns her attention completely towards Officer Bagley. He turns his attention like this as well. Her hand comes up to her chin like this, and now they're locked into what's going on. That connection breaks in a second. And it's not just how dialed in they are, we're also seeing a lot more stressful behavior coming from Tyler. We're seeing him fidget with that pen and his hand, which he wasn't doing before. We're also seeing him kind of look down at one moment. We see a face touch, which is a good indication of stress, but I don't put too much weight on it because a face touch is sometimes just a face touch or an itch or something like that. But there's a whole bunch of different things here from that kind of calm paying attention that we saw earlier. So I think they're both very curious about this moment and what Officer Bagley is going to say about this picture and what he's describing and what he found and how much does it connect Tyler, if at all, to what's going on over here. So I think that's why in this moment, the moment he was asked to describe, they both go, oh my God, okay, wait, what does he have here? And this is a great tip, by the way, for those of you watching hours and hours of this hearing, but not just that, in real world situations as well, to know how dialed someone is to something. So are they really paying attention? Are we seeing a bit of that stress, a bit of that discomfort as they're watching this? Or are they just kind of passively paying attention? Okay, oh look, there's something going on over here. They're calm, just, yeah, okay, giving this a second of attention and looking around. Like they're not really that connected to it. The amount of focus that somebody puts on something, how much it has their attention, really lets us know how important they perceive that thing to be. By the way, I very often say this in my videos, but this is a really excellent place to make this point, is that this is not a tool to feed bias. That's not what analysis is. Because I could see people looking at this and go, oh my God, of course he's dialed in and he's stressed because he totally did this. And I could just as easily see people look at this and go, well, of course he's stressed and dialed in because he's innocent and he wants to see if they're going to be framing him in this moment. That is taking data and trying to force it into a stubborn conclusion, and that is not how analysis works. With analysis, we look at all the different behaviors, put them together to see what direction they're heading in, combine that with the evidence to see what story it likely tells. If someone has already made up their mind with full certainty as to what happened here, and they take all the pieces of new information and try to force it into their conclusion, sometimes very awkwardly, not a great fit, and anything that doesn't quite work, it's fake, it didn't happen, it's lies, not real, that's not analysis at all. That's extreme bias.
The exhibit 12.1, does it appear to be the same as the raw video that you've seen previously?
It does, yes.
Okay. Are there some minor, are there any added additions or anything different about this particular exhibit?
There are some portions of the video where a zoom is initiated, which wasn't a function of the cameras. I believe some specific individuals have been blurred from the footage, and I believe there are some red circles to show poignant information or individuals within the footage itself.
Okay. So other than the red circles, the blur, and the zoom, does it appear to accurately depict what you've seen in the raw video footage?
I believe so, yes.
Okay, so that is David Hall. He is the lead investigator, and he played a massive role in this hearing. And if this goes to trial, he'll probably play a massive role in that as well. He provided hours of testimony. Now, the clip we just looked at was a very, very pivotal moment from days 1 and 2. And it's where we saw the prosecution lose a bit of confidence here, because throughout they're pretty confident, they're on top of things. And here we even see it in the language, it's falling apart a little bit.
I'm going to stop for a hot second because actually this is a great point. Shout out to Rose Bud. I've been wondering this. Is there anybody who's done a body language analysis of Candace? Please email management, jwitt@jwitt.com. I would love to see. I've seen the body language of Erica. I've seen the body language of Charlie. I've seen the body language of, my dog Walker. But I don't see anybody doing a body language of Candace. And good gracious alive, I mean, she does so much content. It's not hard to parse that apart. So if anybody's seen that, or if there's been one where a reputable, not just, my cousin Leroy talk about what he thinks about her body language, but like really a real body language expert, please let me know. I would love to see that. And because I think there'll be some value in it, because I think it'll probably be pretty interesting. Okay, let's go.
Because you see the prosecutor almost ask a leading question. He says, is there some minor, and then he stops himself and goes, are there any additions or anything different about any of this?
Are there some minor, are there any added additions or anything different about this particular exhibit?
So let me explain what's going on. They submitted a compilation video of who they're alleging is Tyler on campus that day. And it starts with a lot of stuff around the parking lot and around the car.
Look, man, my cousin Leroy wears white socks and slides out in public. So come on now. We don't do that. We don't behave in that manner. So we got to talk about Leroy. So Leroy got to catch some strays every now and then. He has some good points, but the slides and white socks, no sir. We don't do that, sir. We don't behave like that.
Then there's a point where we see someone from very far away, very small, running across the roof. And in the compilation that they submitted, there are some blurred faces. And then when there's that roof footage, there's a zoom in and there's red circles to tell the viewer where to look. And this is what they submitted. However, the prosecution knows, and the judge knows, and David Hall probably also knows, that you still need to submit the original source footage. Because if you don't know who edited this, you can't ask them questions about the editing, and you don't know what the source material was, you don't know what else could have been changed in this video. And then he's asked a very strange question. Does it accurately depict what you've seen in the raw footage? And look at his answer. I believe so. Yes. That is a very reasonable response to an otherwise silly question. How can he possibly remember if it accurately depicts every single detail that he saw in the raw footage? That would be like me playing back the last 10 minutes of this video that we're watching right now and ask you, is it exactly the same? There are tons of studies on memory, countless, and they all have the same conclusion. Memory is a highly, highly flawed system. We think we have really good memory for details, but in reality, it's been proven again and again that we absolutely do not. And it's unreasonable to expect, unless this man is Rain Man, for him to remember if both videos were exactly the same down to every little detail. And in a case like this, details make a huge difference, which is why what the judge did next was really great. And this was one of the moments where he gave the prosecution a bit of a slap on the wrist in saying that we need the original video. Because if we don't have the person you're testifying who edited this, what changes they made, and we don't have the original video, we can't know for a fact that this is exactly the same as the source footage.
So do you have a version of this exhibit that does not have the zooming in or the circling? Again, I don't know all the alterations that were made, but that seems to fall outside the 1102 because you don't have a person testifying 1102 saying, I made the alterations.
Right.
And so that's the concern of the state of what Ms. Nestor was talking about as it relates to the state's evidence. I have that concern about those alterations. I don't know when they were made, what they were made, how much was done to manipulate the video. And I say manipulate to, not saying it in a nefarious way, but.
Okay, now here it is, the big moment. We're going to look at the prosecution's interview with Lance Twiggs. This is Tyler's ex-roommate and romantic partner. And he's being questioned here about some of what happened on that day. Now, there are a couple of very, very important notes to clarify what we're seeing here, why it's being presented the way it's being presented, and some of the misinformation that's out there on a lot of sources. So the first thing a lot of you may have noticed is that they cut out segments of this interview, and there are parts that they only played the audio, but we did not see the footage of the interview. Furthermore, there's been a lot of people that are wondering, wait, how could they possibly play an interview on video like this where the defense doesn't have a chance to cross-examine this witness? And a lot of people are really running with this. Like, it's this giant red flag that proves that this is not fair. And the answer to both those concerns is the exact same. It's a reminder that this is not a trial. It's a hearing where the judge has to decide if it's going to go to trial. And he also has to make sure that, to a certain degree, this story is contained so that every single person in Utah and their nephew doesn't see every detail of these interviews. So if they publicly play the most important parts of this testimony publicly like this, every news outlet is going to jump all over it, and every single person who would potentially be part of that jury pool will see it and form an opinion. So they have to be very careful on how much they show the public. It's got to be enough that people could keep up with what's going on in the decisions, but not so much that it spreads like a wildfire and everybody forms an opinion. As for the whole cross-examination thing that a lot of people are running with and misunderstanding, once again, it is not the obligation of the court to force that to happen because it's a hearing. The only job is for the judge to decide if this will go to trial, where in that case, they will have a chance to cross-examine. In a hearing, the standard for evidence is very different, and the standard for hearsay is also extremely different. This is not the prosecution saying, look, this is proof. Everything this guy is saying is true. They're just saying, look, we have this interview here that gives us good reason to take this to trial. That's it. There are states where preliminary hearings are very, very rare, and they use grand juries. And in a grand jury, the defense isn't even present. They wouldn't be able to ask a single question to anyone. Nope. The prosecution shows up to show the jury, here's what we have, to decide if it's going to go to trial. So anyone who's looking at this and saying it's really unfair to the defense, a preliminary hearing actually gives a lot more voice and say to the defense than a grand jury, for example.
It really does.
Side note, a massive thank you once again to Emily D. Baker for taking the time to patiently explain this to me and to tell me that as a long-time prosecutor, she sees nothing odd about this or the lack of cross-examination. Although, if I'm being honest, I think any chance where we don't hear Nestor cross-examine is a massive win for Emily. Oh, and another thing that I talked to Emily about, which is very important here, and a lot of people, again, are misunderstanding online, is the immunity deal that he has. A lot of people are saying, oh, he's got immunity, so he could say whatever he wants, he could lie, whatever, they can't do anything. When in reality, what he has is called use immunity. And basically what that means is they've promised him that anything he reveals in this interview, they cannot use against him. If they find other things outside of this interview, he does not have immunity. This is a common practice to incentivize the person to be truthful, because whatever he says in this, he can literally say that he had a conversation with Tyler and he gave Tyler the idea, and they cannot use that as evidence against him. So yes, he has immunity, but it's specific to what he tells them in this interview. So now we're going to look at the clips, and let's keep a couple of things in mind. One of them is they're going to leave out some juicy details, but we have a lot to go on even without that. And the second thing that we have to keep in mind, which is very important, is that this is not an interrogation where we're trying to get something out of someone that will incriminate this person. This is more of a cooperative interrogation where the prosecution and Lance are having this conversation to try to prove that Tyler did this. So this won't be the type of interrogation to where if something is off, we're going to go in and try to pull the truth out. They're much more in this together, and it's much less likely that conflicting narratives are going to be challenged. But there's still a lot of interesting behaviors that give us some clues as to what's going on. So here it is.
And do you know Tyler Robinson?
Yes, I do. Well, yeah, I do.
And this is the same Tyler Robinson that's been charged with the shooting of Charlie Kirk?
Yes.
And would you say when you first met Tyler?
I think it was 2023. I've known him longer than that, though. That was, I think, the first time I met him in person.
Okay. And will you describe your relationship with Tyler when you first met him anyway?
When I first met him, I didn't know him super well. He was just a new roommate, so.
And then at some point, your relationship progressed to something more than just roommates, is that right?
Mm-hmm.
When was that?
I think we started dating 2 or 3 months after he moved in.
Okay. And where did you live at that time?
St. George, in an apartment complex.
And is that apartment the same place you lived when on September 10th?
Yes.
Okay, a lot going on out the gate, and something that is going to be a pattern throughout his entire interview. So right in the beginning, he's asked, do you know Tyler Robinson? And look at his answer. He goes, yes, I do. Or, and he looks up as he hesitates, or yes, I do. So yes, I do. Hesitation, yes, I do. Now that's really interesting because you would think that it's a very simple yes or no question. Do you know the guy? But it looks like in this moment he's hesitating and he has a little correction or a caveat to make, and then just goes back to, you know what, never mind, yes, I do. And if I had to put money on this, if I had to bet, I would guess that he was going to add a little bit of a detail there to say, I don't know him anymore. Because the question is, do you know Tyler Robinson? So something along the lines of yes, or I don't know him anymore. We're not close anymore, but I did know him. But I think in that moment he realized the guy's asking like, do you know who Tyler Robinson is? So kind of erased that idea of making that little correction. Whatever the case, I can't be 100% sure that that was the caveat, but there was something there that he was going to add, and I'd like to know exactly what it was, but I have a good feeling. Now, in that moment of hesitation and thought, you'll notice he looks up. You'll also notice in this answer, and very consistently moving forward, he very often looks down. He darts down. And it's not particularly consistent with deep thought or hesitation. It very often happens even after an answer or in a moment of silence, he looks down a lot. Now, we talk about eye direction a lot on the channel because it's one of the things that there's the most myths about on social media. There are people out there who are convinced because of a bad source that they read or saw that when people look left, they're always lying. And when they look right, they're always honest. And it changes. Left is a lie, right is a lie, up is a lie, whatever they need in that scenario. Like the video they're watching, whatever way the person looks, if they want that person to be lying, that direction is always a lie. However, there is a ton of research on this. And although it does support that looking away helps us focus or concentrate more, there is no connection with the direction we look and how truthful our answer is following that look. There's specific research on that completely destroyed the idea that direction allows us to know if someone's being deceptive or truthful. Think about it. It doesn't even make any sense.
Right.
If all liars looked in the same direction, trials and interrogations would last seconds. So it's really not that simple. Please believe me on this. I've spent a lifetime staring at the faces of people who are either lying or telling the truth, and there's no pattern. Individual people have specific patterns to them. Like there are people that have a baseline where they always focus by going the same way, but that is not universal and does not apply to everybody else. With that said,
I do want to point that out because, you know, shout out to Spidey, how he showed Judge Graff, you know, just watching the video. And then he showed Judge Graff watching the video where Charlie Kirk was unalived. So you had a baseline to compare it to, like, oh, this is how he sits there and looks, and he transitions back to the attorney at the podium versus when he saw Charlie Kirk get deleted and how he tried to compose himself and then return back. So you can you have a baseline. So I totally believe you can see it in individuals, but yeah, the left-right thing. And then also like, what if the camera's mirrored? I mean, I've had my camera mirrored where my left is my right and my right is my left. Like there's just too many options involved in that, but I totally get it. Shout out to Spidey.
there's one direction that universally we see in the same context. So wherever you are in the world, when you see someone looking down, very often, not always, but very often it's connected to either some kind of negative emotion. Because think about it, negative moments, everything goes downwards. It's even in the language. I'm feeling down, I'm down in the dumps. So things close downwards, including the eyes, or it's very consistent with inner monologue. When we're talking to ourselves or giving ourselves a pep talk, we often see the eyes go down. Not for everyone, but it's very common. When it comes to Lance, this downwards look is very much part of his baseline. I'm going to go ahead and guess that it's part of his idiosyncratic behaviors as well, that he does it outside of this interview. And I think it might be connected a little bit to his discomfort or awkwardness. Because we often see it in the most awkward moments, we often see these little darts down. His upwards look is very consistent with thinking back or processing. And you're going to see as we look at these clips, it gives us a very good clue as to whether an answer was prepared or not. Because when he's improvising, we hear a lot more hesitation and a lot more specifically upwards gazes. And we saw it right there too. He gave his answer, and then as he hesitated to try to see if he was going to add to that, we saw that upwards look. He was about to improvise, then he came right back down and just said, yes, I do. But notice when he was asked when they started dating, where they lived, these were all answers that he for sure knew were going to come up, and he just looked straight forward, answered it. We didn't see any hesitation or trying to access memory, but we did see a couple of quick downwards darts while he was talking, which again, baseline.
What was his typical workday like?
I think he'd leave around 7 generally and get back around 3 to 4, depending on like where the job was and how long it was for the day. And then on certain days of the week during school, like semesters, he would then later in the day, I think around 5 or 6, go to school. So, yeah.
Okay.
There's another terrific example of how his upwards gaze syncs up very much with moments of improvisation and hesitation. His speech literally slows down as we hear that hesitancy and he's thinking, and we see those eyes go up. What a great clue to distinguish prepared answers from improvised answers.
I'm gonna have him spit out his gum just to make sure that
I can do that.
you mind. I think you're right in front of your laptop.
I said, man, you can't be chewing no gum up in here.
Thank you.
I said, no, we ain't got no time for no gum chewing, my guy.
Thank you.
And that's another great example that locks in what I said before, that this downwards gaze is in moments of self-consciousness or awkwardness. Because here they asked him to spit out his gum, so he took it out, didn't know what to do with it, threw it out, and then he comes back and we see this very closed posture, right? His arms are moving in, and this is universal. Everywhere in the world, when we see humans get defensive or self-conscious, we see those arms close in like this because we're getting ready to protect very vital and vulnerable parts of the body. So we see that self-consciousness in his posture, and we see that look down as well. So I think it's very synced up with moments of self-awareness.
What time did you see Tyler on September 11th?
Yes.
When did you first see him on September 11th? So this is the day after the shooting.
Yeah, I saw him when I woke up. Like I said, he was up and around doing a lot of stuff around the house. And then I think I saw him after that message where I said I'll come home and say I'm doing laundry, because I didn't want him going to my parents' house right then when he said there was probably cops outside. So I went back home, and it was just him there, and I said bye to him, and then he drove off. So I just went back to my parents' house.
Okay, we're definitely seeing a shift in his baseline there. His cognitive load has increased. There's a lot more hesitancy. The eyes are shifting quite a bit. We see a couple of quick bursts up, but we see a lot of downwards like this. And sometimes it does align with his hesitation here. I think there's a lot of nervousness about talking about this actual interaction that he had. For the first time since the beginning of this interview, we see illustrators. We see his hand come up as he's illustrating, and usually our illustrators come to life when we're passionately trying to tell a story rather than just trying to say what's going on, calmly. There's also a lot of ambiguous language. He says that Tyler was doing a lot of stuff, and I think I saw him after that message. So this is stuff where we're missing a bit of time. A lot of stuff. What stuff? What was he doing? Was this verbal stuff, nonverbal stuff? Did you guys talk about anything? We're going to get a few more questions about that, but that ambiguity is definitely something where I would want to dig in and understand what stuff. And then I think I saw him after that message. Okay, well, what do you think you saw? What were the interactions? So there's a lot of nervousness here, and I feel like some details are being glazed over. But we have a chance to kind of dig in a little bit more with this next question.
So he acted erratically. Was he pacing? Was he just sitting down, relaxing?
No, he was walking around a lot.
And that's within the home?
Mm-hmm.
And did he talk about what he had done?
Didn't go into detail. I just asked him in person if what he said was true the night before, and he said it was. I started crying a little bit and said he wishes he hadn't done it, and then kept going around and just doing stuff, I think, to keep himself busy or distracted or something. And then eventually said that he would talk to his parents or turn himself over.
Okay. And when you left, was that how you left, understanding that he was going to turn himself in or go to his parents' house?
Yeah, and I didn't really want to be at our apartment while any of that was happening, regardless of what went down.
Okay, so in this one, for me, there was a little red flag that went bing in my head, and it relates back to the text exchange that was released between Tyler and Lance. And I have a video on the channel where we look at those texts and I give my opinion on it, and I'll leave a link in the description if you guys want to check it out. But in summary, really quick summary, there's something about it that never really sat easy with me with that text exchange. I'm not one of those people who thinks like it's this whole plot and the whole thing is fake and none of it makes sense. But there's just a few things about it that in the wording didn't quite add up to me. And here, again, something doesn't make sense. Because Lance is saying here that Tyler was walking around a lot, and when he's asked, did he talk about what happened, he's saying he didn't go into detail. So what that means is that this guy, Tyler, who allegedly did this horrible thing the day before, was at their house in the comfort of their own home, and he didn't go into detail. But the day before, when he actually did the crime and he was kind of fleeing the scene, he texted paragraphs and paragraphs of detail. That's inconsistent. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense for someone who, on the day of the act that he committed, in that high stress moment, to be texting paragraphs and paragraphs of details. Seriously, go back and look at those texts. It's like a novel. But then on the next day, in the comfort of his own home, with the person that he was texting, he doesn't go into details. Sorry, that doesn't describe the same character. It also doesn't make a whole lot of sense that he didn't have a million questions. I mean, put aside the fact that they're roommates, put aside the fact that they have romantic history, but even just for his own safety, you would think that he would be extremely concerned. So it's hard to believe that there wasn't a very big conversation here, knowing what we know about these two individuals. And I think we get a massive clue as to why Lance is saying this very shortly after he gives this answer, because he says that he didn't want to be around. Whatever this was, no matter how it ended up, he didn't want to be there, so he got out of there. I think a big goal for Lance is to psychologically distance himself as much as he can from Tyler. We saw it here in him trying to underplay how much of a conversation they had that day. We see it here in him saying that he just wanted to get out of there. We saw it earlier when he was going to come in with a bit of a caveat. When he said, do you know Tyler? There was a little but there that he didn't quite say, but he was going to. And we're going to see more clues coming up where he's trying to make sure we understand, no, me and this guy, we're not as close as you might think.
Okay, before he came home, had you seen the press releases, any of the media on this?
I'd seen one Instagram link a friend of mine had sent in our group chat, but I hadn't really looked into it at all.
And had you seen the images that were released of the suspect?
I did the next day. I don't think I saw any on the 10th.
Yeah, I'm not really buying that exactly. And it's not entirely behaviorally. It's a little bit behaviorally, but also just purely logically. So he says that in a chat, he was sent a link, but he didn't really look into it at all. And immediately after that, we see that look down, but it's not alone. We'll also see a quick flutter with the eyes like this. And this is very consistent with processing. Research has shown that universally, when we process things, when we put things into memory or retrieve things from memory, we see these little eye flutters or a very increased blink rate. So it obviously doesn't always mean deception. Nothing does. There isn't a single gesture on this planet that happens exclusively in deception. But there are behaviors that we look at for stress or increased cognitive load that might indicate a higher probability of deception, and eye flutter is one of them. Now, we don't have a massive cluster here. It's not like after he says that, we see him close up and look away and flutter and hesitate. It's just this downwards look, which is part of his baseline. It's a little more held than usual with this flutter like this. But just purely logically, it doesn't make sense to me that he didn't look more into this or read that article or ask more questions or get more curious. I mean, let's think about this logically. Is there anybody right now watching this video that if you had a roommate and that roommate went out and all of a sudden you got all these weird texts from them and a friend of yours sent a link to a group chat that said, hey, your buddy, your roommate may have done this thing. Is there anybody watching this video that wouldn't drop everything they're doing to open that link, read it, go online, look what else is going on, what's happening on X, what's happening on Instagram, TikTok, what is going on here? Wouldn't you want to find out everything you can? I mean, there's a good chance that this guy who committed this act is about to come to where you live. Are they having some kind of psychotic episode? What's going on? So is there really anybody who would just not really look into it at all. His words.
That's a good
I don't
catch.
know. So what do I think is going on there? Again, I think this is all about one thing for Lance: distancing, distancing, distancing. If he says that he got concerned, he looked into it, he had all this information, he talked about it with Tyler, he texted him, it suggests a closeness that I don't think he wants to put out there. So when it comes to the core facts, he came to the apartment, he said this, I went there. Like when it comes to the story itself, we're not seeing these massive clusters, nor at this point do I have reason to believe that he's being overly deceptive about those things. Of course, in a cross-examination where he's grilled on these details, we're likely to see a lot more. But again, in this kind of cooperative interview, I'm not seeing massive red flags when it comes to the actual telling of the events. But when it comes to the details of what happened in those moments, there's something going on here. There's some kind of stress. There's some kind of distance that he's trying to create there.
What about Charlie Kirk? Did you ever talk about Charlie Kirk?
I personally had never heard him talk about Charlie Kirk before specifically.
Okay. How about political issues? So did you ever talk about gender identity issues and LGBTQ rights?
No, not really. Usually if he did talk about politics stuff, it was relating to Trump or current policies being issued or voted on, I think. But yeah.
Holy moly, clusteroni. This is a big one. I think even people who haven't studied nonverbal communication could see that there's a significant shift in the way that he's answering this one, more than any other answer we saw. So, first of all, in the first answer, he uses two qualifiers. And this is not someone who often speaks with qualifiers. So he's asked if they ever talked about Charlie Kirk. And he says, I personally have never heard him talk about Charlie Kirk specifically. So that's two little caveats, two little qualifiers. It's different from saying, I've never heard him talk about Charlie Kirk. It's much less confident. First of all, personally. Have you impersonally heard him talk about Charlie Kirk? Is there someone that you know has heard him talk about Charlie Kirk? That could be what it is. It could be that after the fact, in his circle of friends, some people told him, oh yeah, no, he hated Charlie Kirk. So he knew that, but not personally. And then he says specifically. So he didn't talk about Charlie Kirk specifically. Well, did he talk about him non-specifically?
Non-specifically,
So these are just questions, by the way. I'm not saying for sure that there's something here, but why do we all of a sudden have these qualifiers? Also, notice how specifically after the answer, we see a lip compression. And this is not part of his baseline. Immediately after he says that, his lips thin out. And this is very consistent universally with disagreement or withheld opinion. So think about how you might be in a group of friends and someone's talking about somebody else. They like this person.
Right.
And you notice somebody else kind of just tightening those lips like this. Very consistent with, I'm not going to say this, or I disagree with what's being said. It's also very consistent with omission. Like there's more to say here. So might be something there, not sure. But then there's a lot more stuff. There's a lot of hesitancy here in the way that he's answering, falling apart a little bit, which is a good indication that the cognitive load has increased. There's a lot of ambiguity. When he's asked if they ever talked about LGBTQ stuff, he says, not really. Well, what do you mean not really? It's a yes or no question. That's somewhere where I would want a little bit more detail. Okay, well, did you talk a little bit about LGBTQ stuff? I mean, they were both part of the LGBTQ community. They had a relationship.
Right.
So it stands to reason that at some point they talked about their opinions on it. I mean, they were dating. They never ever talked about that stuff. So I have some questions there, a lot of ambiguity. Then at the end, he gives us a bit of detail about how it was often about Trump. And it almost seems like Lance doesn't really know how to have this conversation. So I don't think he himself is that interested in politics. But again, I think a massive, massive goal of his here is once again, distancing. If he tells us that they often discussed LGBTQ and that they talked about politics and that he went on and on about how he disagrees with Trump or Charlie Kirk or this or that, the more he gives us information like that, the more it paints a picture of two very close people, which is exactly why specifically when it comes to things that would suggest their proximity, he makes sure we understand that there really wasn't much of it. He keeps things very ambiguous, and we see these little signs of omission, stress, and increased cognitive load. So in conclusion, what do we have? Well, we have a lot. There's a lot of really great examples in this hearing to teach overall behavioral analysis, but also very specific things to this case. We have a defense that's fighting an uphill battle. We don't really know what their plan is, but there are a lot of things that would compel a judge to allow this to go to trial. Because even if these things are not 100% locked in, for sure guaranteed evidence, we have a lot of things that very much seem to tie Tyler to what happened here. So the defense is constantly in a struggle throughout the entire hearing to try to minimize things or make it seem like they're not as big a deal as they seem. And they seem overall a lot less confident, and that they're constantly on that uphill battle. And the prosecution, more often, with a few exceptions, seems like they're a lot more confident and in control in that room, which kind of makes sense because a preliminary hearing is more about the prosecution, but there's a lot more confidence coming from their side. Another big thing that a lot of people are misunderstanding out there is that we have no clue what the defense's plan is. Millions of people are assuming that the defense is going to try to prove his innocence, like Tyler had nothing to do with this. But that may not be their goal at all. Their goal might be to talk down or remove the aggravating circumstances to take the death penalty off the table. We don't know. They haven't discussed their plan. Again, this is a hearing. They're there to try to figure out, okay, what's this trial going to look like more or less, and determine what's our best course of action. So we can't make any assumptions about their plan. And we have the roommate who's providing a witness testimony who I would love to see actually get questioned with a lot of skepticism from someone who's trying to get every detail. But when it comes to his story, there isn't any reason to believe that he's making the whole thing up. Like none of it happened. There are segments where it seems like he's withholding something. There's some omission. There's more details here. There's more to this. But it's really hard to believe that none of these things happened. And we haven't even seen the entire interview. I'm sure there's segments that they cut out that are a lot more black on white. Here's what he said. But we haven't seen those. So yeah, there's a lot. And I'm very curious to see how this is all going to play out. We'll find out soon what the judge is going to decide, which I think we all know. This is likely going to go to trial. And if it does go to trial, what are they going to do? Are they going to plead guilty, or are they going to try to argue this in some way? And to what end are they going to try to argue this? Will it be to try to prove his innocence completely, or is it going to be to try to just take that death penalty off the table? What's the plan? We're going to keep talking about it on the channel, and if you have any specific questions, please let me know in the comments. Before we go, I have an announcement or a request, I guess. For those of you who are on Spotify, I recently opened a Spotify show. They are now doing videos, so like YouTube, full videos. And for people who are on the go, sometimes they prefer Spotify. So I'll leave a link in the description. And for those of you who are on Spotify, you'd be doing me a huge favor if you head over and watch a couple of the videos, or just hit the playlist and let it play through. If you can do that, that would be amazing, because they really, really look at watch time and engagement. So even a couple of comments go a very long way to grow the page and just expose it to more viewers. Nothing's going to change here on YouTube. What I'm posting here will be posted there as well. So I'd really appreciate your help if you're on that platform. Otherwise, let me know in the comments what you thought of all this. What are your thoughts about this crazy hearing, this case? What do you think is going to happen? Let me know in the comments, and I'll see you on the next one.
Yesterday in the courtroom, again.
Shout out to Spidey, the body language expert. That was good. That was good. Thank y'all for recommending that one. That was a good one. I'm looking forward to hearing more about that. I'm sure he's going to probably tap in during the trial as well. But what do we got here? We got some good people in here. Great conversation going on in the chat. Could you do me a favor? If you haven't already, could you hit the like button, and can you just drop a green heart in the chat that you hit the like button? That will help out a ton. So we are definitely encouraging some engagement this month. So definitely want to make sure. And if you were wondering, I've heard your commentary. Tomorrow, I will probably do a live stream reaction to Candace Owens' response to this past week. I know it's going to be a train wreck, but for some reason or another, I really think we are on the cusp of watching her finally implode. So I do want to kind of watch it. So I will do that tomorrow. Whenever she goes live, I'm thinking she'll probably go live at 6 or 5 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. Whenever she does, I'll make sure as soon as I know, you'll know, and I'll go live accordingly. So that is the plan. That's the plan. Shout out to y'all. Thank you so much. How do y'all feel about Dr. Andrew Branca? He is an attorney. I think, don't quote me on this, I want to say he's in Kentucky. I might have made that up. But he has an excellent show. He does a great commentary as well. And today, all we're doing is just dunking on Candace. So if you're a Cantifa member, come on up here to the front of the church. We are going to hurt your feelings, because we are here to dunk on all the lies that she's been telling for the last 10 months. And we've said that they were lies. We knew they were lies. And guess what? Now we have confirmation they were lies. And we're just here to make fun of y'all. So I know it might hurt. It's going to be painful, but that's okay. Come on over here. Sit on down. We're going to work with you. We'll help you out. But we are going to make fun of you. So and with no further ado, let's get Andrew Bronca up in here. Thank you so much for hitting that like button, all of y'all. I really appreciate it. Thank you, every last one of you. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. All right, let's see what he's got going on here. Whoa, let's see what he's got going on here. Greenheart's in the chat where you can hear.
Tyler Robinson trial. By the way, not a very good showing by his defense lawyer, Michael Burt, who was pretty obnoxious to Erica Kirk in the courtroom, basically calling her a histrionic faker. Let's watch this clip here.
Judge, at this point in the proceeding, we're asking the court to keep focus on the purpose of this hearing. And as the justice has said in the Estes case, the purpose of a trial, and I know this isn't a trial, but the same logic applies, is to determine the defendant's guilt. It's not to educate the public or the victim's family or the world on what evidence the government or the state has. As the court knows, we have witness availability problems. We spent the bulk of today and yesterday arguing about nothing to do with the evidence in the case, but with rights of third parties. And it's appropriate for the court to consider that. But at some point, I think the court has to return to the purpose of these hearings, which is to expeditiously hear the evidence and then determine probable cause. And I want to point out to the court, Ms. Kirk has been very adept at holding.
I want to point out that's what the defense is trying to stop the court, the courtroom from seeing the evidence and making a determination of probable cause, trying to keep the evidence secret.
Ms. Kirk has been very adept at holding press conferences at which she has revealed evidence. She has represented that the state is her attorney. She has access to all the evidence that the state has publicized and that the media and her own lawyer argues is already in the public domain. So they're perfectly free to go outside this courtroom under the court's protective order. They're free to go out and hold press conferences and announce to the world outside the courtroom what they think the evidence is. They have the availability of that evidence. But the court's role, I think, at some point is to exercise some control, move the case forward, and especially when we have witness availability problems. And I'd ask the court, whatever the court does, if you're going to allow revisiting or replaying of evidence for the sole purpose of informing the world or Ms. Kirk or anybody else, that the court do it at the end of the process and not at this point where we will be deprived of our ability to call this witness, because she has to be done today.
Thank you, Mr. Byrd.
Thank you.
Briefly, and I say
Response
that
by the
because
state.
time is of the essence, not because I don't want to hear what you have to say.
I understand, but there was a lot that was just said that's just not true.
I wish he could have spoke.
So let me put this in this spot where we need to be. I understand that there.
I kind of wish that this lawyer was able to speak. I know what Judge Graff was trying to do, but I really wish this lawyer had been able to speak.
There's opinions, but I have to keep this to the probable cause. I don't want this to go to a back and forth about issues that lie outside of probable cause. And I realize,
Again, most probable cause hearings are a couple hours, even for a murder trial. So this taking days has to be a bit frustrating for the judge. I believe it's taking so long largely because of objections by the defense.
statements are made, and as the victim's representative attorney, you want to address it. So I will hear you, but we need to be brief. So if you can be succinct, I definitely want to hear what you have to say.
Your Honor, I am almost always brief, I promise you. The family has not seen this video. It hasn't. It doesn't have access to the evidence the state has. The state is the state, and Mrs. Kirk and the family have their representatives. There's a completely distortion of reality that was just put forth. And this isn't about educating anybody about anything. This is about allowing the family to see the evidence that's been gathered after a 10-month investigation in which a father, a husband was assassinated. That's what this is about. So we ask you to please allow the family to view the video like the court has viewed in order to allow the family to process this moment.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anything further before they...
Okay, so that happened. And of course, the defense has to do, the defense is in a difficult situation here. The evidence is overwhelmingly consistent with Tyler's guilt. Two difficult, highly publicized trials for Nestor, first Corey Richins and now Tyler Robinson. Do you think the only reasonable goal for the defense is to avoid the death penalty, considering the evidence shown so far? Yes, considering the evidence as we understand it. Now, again, this is not the full-blown trial. So it's the evidence by the state. We don't have cross-examination. We're allowing hearsay. The evidence isn't really being tested in the way it will be tested in the trial proper. And when it's tested, maybe it'll be impeached. Maybe it'll be discredited. But at the state of the evidence as we see it today, it's overwhelmingly consistent with Tyler Robinson's guilt. And the screaming of the conspirators is either incoherent with the actual evidence we're seeing or just completely imaginative. Some of it's just crazy. And perhaps the best compilation of all this was done by the one account on X that I actually subscribe to, Data Republican, who's done a lot of great stuff on Doge and government waste, but she's been covering this as well. And she responded. Here's Candace Owens doing some of her, there's a my team, your team thing going on. There's Team Candace Owens, and then there's Team, I don't know, Charlie Kirk, I guess I would call it, or Team Erica Kirk, and they hate each other. They hate each other with a passion. And so they're always going back and forth. Obviously, people are like we saw with Zach calling Candace Owens crazy. Candace Owens' team is responding. But Data Republican had this response. And this was done just yesterday. 2.7 million views. Wow.
That's crazy.
Responding to Candace Owens. Mrs. Owens, you told millions of people that Tyler Robinson wasn't even there, that you felt confident stating that Tyler Robinson did not murder Charlie Kirk, but he was on camera, prone on the Lossy rooftop at 12:22. The shot was fired at 12:23:28. DNA on the screwdriver at 30 quintillion to 1. DNA on the rifle at 1.7 octillion to 1. He told his family what he did. His parents helped him surrender. He texted his roommate, I'm sorry. He engraved, hey, fascist, catch on the ammunition a month before he used it. You, Candace Owens, said police didn't even question Lance Twiggs. He was interviewed twice. He was interviewed by the FBI the morning after. Joint state federal team 7 months later. His own attorney, voluntary phone surrender. You laughed when you said it. You told Sean Ryan's a podcast host, I think a former Navy SEAL or Delta guy, I forget. You told Sean Ryan a shaped charge killed Charlie, an explosive. The PETN, the explosive compound, was in his microphone, so his microphone blew up. He was remotely assassinated. But bullet fragments, the medical examiner says it was a gunshot wound. Bullet fragments were recovered from his body. A 30-06 Mauser with Robinson's DNA was found in the woods. Neither side, not the prosecution, not the defense, has mentioned explosives, not once in 4 days of probable cause hearing. You said the shot came from below, but the building is above the amphitheater. You called Erica Kirk a clinical psychopath to an audience of millions. You said the assassination was an occult ritual. You said Charlie was sitting in a pentagram. You told people Israel killed him because he refused Netanyahu. You made over 100 episodes. You built a franchise on a dead man's name. On the hardest fact of all, Tyler Robinson's own defense lawyers, the people whose entire career is on the line to get him acquitted, have refused to make a single one of your arguments. Not one. They're challenging DNA methodology. They're doing their jobs. You were doing something else entirely. Then Data Republican writes, Charlie Kirk changed my life. He platformed my work when nobody knew who I was. He had my back when I was doxxed. I was the 10,000th most important person in his world, and I will never be able to repay him. So I did what I know how to do. I read every transcript. I watched every hour of testimony. I cataloged your claims and held them up against what was said under oath. Every single one of your claims failed. I don't know why you did this. Wow. I'm not going to speculate on your motives because that would make me exactly the kind of analyst I spent my career refusing to be. But I know what you did. You told people confident lies about a dead man's murder, and millions of them believed you. And some of them turned that belief into threats against his widow. The trial continues, and every day of sworn testimony is another day your words get tested against reality, under oath, on the record, where it counts. And she's going to continue to cover it, of course, as many of us will continue to cover it. And I just wanted to point out, they say you can tell a person by the company they keep. And here's a bunch of responses to this Data Republican post that I just read to you from people I know personally. I've interacted with or worked with in some way personally, and they generally have good calls. No one's perfect. I don't agree with anybody 100% of the time, but these are people I agree with almost all the time. They make good judgment calls. People like Dana Lash. I've been on her show. I've met her husband, Chris. Andrew Wilson, the famous debater on YouTube, very, very smart guy. Rachel Wilson, his wife, very high quality person in her own right. Kang Min Lee, I've never met, I've never interacted with on a personal in meet space basis, but I see a lot of Kang Min Lee's content and it's dead on. Raylan Gibbons, another account, the same thing. I've seen a lot of their content, it's dead on. Senator Mark Lee, perhaps the most based, in fact, that's his handle here, based Mike Lee on X. Perhaps the most based U.S. Senator. Not only is he dead on in his X post, but his amici briefs to the Supreme Court on matters of national interest are top shelf. He writes, for reasons that became even more apparent today in court, real Candace Owens is mistaken about what happened to Charlie Kirk. She might want to consider an apology to Mrs. Erica Kirk. And then Aesthetica has this take, which is, there's a kernel of truth here for sure. The lesson of Candace Owens, because Candace Owens used to work with Ben Shapiro at the Daily Wire. They hired her. Ben Shapiro, Matt Walsh, that whole crew. And then they went their separate ways. He writes, the lesson of Candace Owens is you don't bring retarded DEI hires into the conservative movement because you want to prove to Democrats that you're not racist.
Wow.
I just thought that was funny. And then to close out the Charlie Kirk part of today's show, the court granted the defense request to submit briefing, written arguments on probable cause, which is going to stretch this out from being just a normal probable cause hearing. You have a ruling on probable cause at the end of the hearing. Usually that's a couple hours. Here we had days of testimony and evidence, and the judge is still not going to decide. He's going to accept written argument at the defense request. Of course, the state will respond with their own written argument, and then they'll have oral argument over those briefs, much like the Supreme Court does. And that's not going to happen until early September. It's only July 10th, my friends.
Wow.
So that's 2 months away. And we won't get a final ruling on whether he will actually go to trial for this killing until after that probable cause hearing. And it's a window, as he notes, for the conspiracy tards to keep on grifting. Fleming, okay, member for 6 months. Hey, Andrew,
Man,
best of your luck on your move. Question regarding conspiracy theorists. Are you open that while Tyler may be the shooter, he may also be a patsy? Yeah, sure. I mean, it doesn't really matter for his prosecution, right? They're just trying to determine his guilt. And listen,
What's
when we
the
get to the
patsy?
legal merits, maybe the defense will magically come up with evidence that impeaches everything that's been said so far. I'm open to that too. I'm only saying the state of the evidence as it currently is presented is compelling evidence of guilt.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, another...
So what is a patsy then? Like, help me out. What is a patsy? Because they use this word a lot, but like, what is the patsy? What is the patsy doing? Like, what is a patsy? I don't understand that. Because did he kill him or did he not? Is that something, does that absolve him of the fact that he killed him? Because he's a patsy? I don't get it. You know, shout out to the best live chat on the internet. That's a scapegoat. Okay. Then, okay, maybe that's why. Okay. It's a fall guy. Okay. Patsy is used to take fall even if he didn't kill him. Then how did they get him to the jail if he didn't do it? There's a lot of, if I know I didn't do it, I'm not turning myself in. What are we talking about? Like, it's the fall guy. Who was that? Remember that show back in the 80s, Fall Guy? Steve Reynolds. Was it Steve Reynolds? Who's that guy? Y'all know what show I'm talking about, the Fall Guy. What was the name of that show? And what was it? It wasn't they had a new movie. Oh, they had a movie called that too. My bad. Wasn't it a show called The Fall Guy in the 80s? Okay. Yeah, The Fall Guy. There we go. Action adventure television. There we go. We need to bring that back. We need some action adventure television. That's what we need. What's his name? Who was the actor, though? Lee Majors. I mean, that was crazy. I was way off. Lee. Oh, wait, you said it. Oh, shout out to you. There we go. There we go. He takes the blame and consequences for group violence, then they get rid of him. Whoa. Yeah, we need action adventure back. That wouldn't be bad. I would approve of that. Let's. I think that would be good. Okay. No, it wasn't Tom Selleck. It was Lee Majors. I'm looking at now. You got a video playing over here. I'm looking at it like stay focused, Jason. Stay focused. All right. Let's bring this back in. All right. We'll look at 6 times that Candace contradicted herself. Thank you, everybody who's jumped in to the Best Alive chat on the internet. I appreciate y'all. Thank you so very much for that. It has been a fun night. And again, we're doing a little bit of end zone dancing. We're doing a little bit of I told you so's. But we are taking our time looking at I got 2 more videos of just showing that Candace has been lying for the whole time. Most people knew this from the beginning, but just in case you're waking up out of your candy stupor, you're being shaken from Cantifa, I just want to make sure you understood we told you so. All right, let's keep this going. If you don't mind, green hearts in the chat where you can hear.
I think that in the coming weeks, there's going to be a lot of financial reports that are coming out. And I, first and foremost, do not believe that Tyler Robinson killed Charlie Kirk. I want to be very clear on that. There's old footage of Tyler Robinson that is now circulating.
As I get into the intersection.
This is another good one. So Candace Owens went on this huge spiel a while ago about how the text messages that were involved in all of the documents between Tyler Robinson and his alleged boyfriend, girlfriend, whatever that was, that they were fake. They were fabricated because in the texts that were produced, Tyler Robinson uses the word vehicle.
Tyler certainly refers to it as his car, not his vehicle.
Why are you selectively editing clips to push a narrative when the same video contains proof that disproves you? He says vehicle. Ladies and gentlemen, we need to address Candace Owens. The preliminary trial in the case of Tyler Robinson, where he is being accused of assassinating political commentator Charlie Kirk, has now started. And of course, Candace Owens and her cult-like followers are heavily invested in this case and are already starting their conspiracies and posting clips to try and say and prove that Tyler Robinson was not the killer of Charlie Kirk. So I just wanted to show you guys a brief rundown. It's actually not that brief. It's about 6 minutes of Candace Owens contradicting herself time and time again. Then I'll explain why no matter the evidence provided, no matter the facts of the matter, no matter what is brought forth throughout this prosecution, Candace Owens is never going to admit that she was wrong. But first, let's take a look at the clips of her contradicting herself, and it's laughable, trust me.
I certainly didn't suspect Turning
Shout out
Point
to Milk
USA
Bar.
would be, as I believe, involved in a cover-up. You know, it doesn't necessarily mean they were involved in plotting to kill him, and I've never said that. Cam Higbee is on the payroll of Turning Point USA, the very organization that just had its leader assassinated in broad daylight in front of the entire world. What about his burial? How come we haven't seen anything about his burial?
This was one of the funniest ones. By the way, as you see, I've moved my little square up so you guys can see the timestamps of when she's saying what. Here, she was insisting early on that Charlie Kirk was, you know, for one of the reasons that he was becoming skeptical of the whole Israel situation and that conversation regarding Israel was because he was entertaining the possibility of becoming a Catholic. And right after he was killed, she insisted that Charlie Kirk had a Catholic burial. And that's why Erica and the rest of the family didn't want people to know where he was buried. You know, not because there were literally people days after going to vigils and commemorations of Charlie Kirk and his life, smearing things and stepping on posters and destroying people's property and stuff. No, it couldn't be the possibility that, you know, the family wants a little bit of privacy to avoid people coming to smear his grave. No, it was because he was becoming a Catholic. She was questioning this on October 30th, just a month and a couple of weeks after his death. This is what she said just a little bit over a month and a half later on Piers Morgan.
Repeatedly questioned why we weren't being told where Charlie Kirk is buried. Did you get those answers?
You have the wrong commentator who questioned that.
You've never asked where Charlie's buried?
Nope. What?
On top of that, she was also insisting on X for a period of weeks that Charlie Kirk was actually cremated. So, Candace, which is it? If you knew back then in October, as we see here, that Charlie Kirk actually had a Catholic burial, why did you say over 7-8 months later that he was cremated. Was he cremated or did he have a Catholic burial? Which one is it? And why are you telling Piers Morgan that you never questioned this?
Okay, now, not to be morbid, but there are instances where if you've ever had to bury somebody or ever had to do funeral planning, ever had to do that type of situation, there are different ways to deal with the remains. And one of them is to cremate the loved one, and you can put that in an urn and you can have it entombed at the cemetery, or you can have it buried at the cemetery. I mean, so I'm not saying that, again, Candace's arguments are retarded, but I'm just saying, just in case you've ever bumped up against this, they can leave the body whole and bury a casket. They can cremate the person and you can receive the remains that way and maybe put in an urn in your home or whatnot, or pour it out over the ocean or wherever of that nature. But you can also bury or entomb, you can put the urn in what's, for lack of a better term, a mausoleum, or you can bury it. I mean, there are options available. They even have an option of taking the remains and mixing them with cement and making a some kind of feature, some kind of structure, and you can bury it, drop it in the ocean and be a part of the reefs. So, I mean, there's other ways to do it. So again, I'm not justifying Candace, her confusion, because she's just demonic. So let's just take her out of the equation. There are other ways to deal with the remains. That's all I wanted to say. Yeah, there's a lot of different ways. So if you said you buried them and they were cremated, you could say, I had, Uncle Jim Bob cremated and we buried him last week. That's a sentence that works. But I just want to bring that up. Let's go. But again, I want to say again, Candace is retarded.
When the footage is still up of you doing exactly that, which we see here.
About his burial. How come we haven't seen anything about his burial?
She has said Charlie's murder, quote, had to be approved by Charlie's friends, and then suggested those friends might have her murdered too, for, quote, knowing.
I never said that. The decision was made to murder Charlie Kirk.
She said that. Like, I don't understand how people keep buying it. She says a lie. She pushes a conspiracy. It turns out that none of it's true. She doesn't apologize. She doesn't self-correct. She just moves on to the next thing. And then she flat out denies saying things that she is on video saying. These videos are on her page. She said that Charlie's murder had to be approved and that the people at Turning Point knew about it, that they had to approve of it. Watch.
A decision.
I want to answer. Call me, teacher. The thing is, Candace herself has been given over to a reprobate mind. Candace's audience is in line with that reprobate mind. They are fine with somebody lying to them. They're perfectly fine. Most of us here in the best live chat on the internet and the most electrifying comment section on the internet don't want people to lie to us. And we're not like just given over to it like, oh, we're cool with them lying to us. Candace's audience is 100% okay with her lying because they themselves do not honor, do not relish, do not cherish truth. They don't care about truth. You could tell them that today is Tuesday, February 3rd, and they are going to be okay with you saying that. They don't care. They don't care about truth. And if you're a member of Cantifa, come on up here to the front of the church. Come on, so you can get all this good preaching. They don't care about truth. They don't care if they lie. They don't care if they besmirch. They don't care if they slander, destroy. They don't care. So the problem is we are treating them like they're people that care about truth when really they don't. That's why we should mock them, and mockery will continue until morale improves. That's just it. There's no reason to waste our time and effort and strength in our bodies because air is not free. We should not. There's no reason to do that anymore. We just mock you. We just point our finger at you and laugh. And just no. You believe Candace Owens is an IQ test, and she's proving to us your IQ. She's proven to us. There's no other reason around it. That's it. That's just it. Is Erica evil? This is a new one? That's a new one. Did I miss something, Delta Brown people? delete brown people? Is that something? Is that an intelligent sentence? But back to my point. Back to my point. We are assuming that Candace's people actually want truth. We're assuming that Candace is just doing this. No, Candace has been given over to a reprobate mind. Her mind is broken. Her mind no longer operates and functions as one should. That's just it. There's no other way around it. So therein is the problem, and her people are okay with it. That's why we'll come back tomorrow. We'll do a show tomorrow. We'll watch her show tomorrow just for laughs and giggles. So make sure you get some popcorn. Don't be driving, farm equipment. Don't have any sharp objects around, because I'm pretty sure it's going to be crazy. But she's a liar, but she's been given over to lies. As the scriptures say, they deceive and they're being deceived. So Candace's people have no problem deceiving people, and they themselves are being deceived. That's how they can sit there and argue some of the most ridiculous things. They're going to still argue about exploding microphones. These people are still arguing on July 12th, 2026, in the year of our Lord, are still trying to say that a exploding microphone killed Charlie Kirk. These people are allowed to walk among us. That's it. That's some high level retardation. See, and this is what I'm saying. Like, we have a retarded person here, ladies and gentlemen. We have a retarded person here. Shout out. But I mean, it's okay. We accept retarded people here on this channel because we know that they need help. If y'all could put DBP in the chat, just let them know, man, we accept you and we really want you to get changed. We really do. We really want you to get changed and come to a saving knowledge of who Christ is, one, but then also recognize that you're retarded and that you're riding on a short bus. The short bus is not for everybody. Leave it to Candace. Get off the short bus. Get off of it. Get off the short bus. All right, let's get back to this thing. Let's go.
That very clearly had to be approved by Charlie's friends. Is this going to be the pathway forward? You're going to start murdering more people in broad daylight for knowing?
That's crazy.
I never said that. I was totally in a cloud of grief. Okay, you remember I had to go away to Wyoming just to breathe. Like, what am I doing wrong here that I have to go away and cry for a long time, and everyone else just kind of seemed giddy? That's the only way I can describe it, like giddy. That emotion shouldn't be possible. It shouldn't be possible, actually. I was in this aggrieved stage, and I really didn't poke my head up until weeks later, when I could stop crying about it every second. Charlie Kirk, my friend, is dead. First, this is fantastic that Preborn is doing this. I just want to remind you guys about Pure Talk. Also reminding you guys about American Financing. Also reminding you guys about GNO Land. Also telling you guys about Just Thrive. You can head over to our website, CandaceOwens.com. You can sign up.
Milk Bar does a great job, by the way. As you see in the top right, Milk Bar TV. If you guys aren't already keeping up with him on X, he does a great job. He pulls tons of old clips and resurfaces them to show people's hypocrisy and all of this and that. So he does a great job. So shout out to him for this compilation. If you guys aren't already following him, go give him a follow.
Change that. Absolutely.
I still haven't spoken to the press about Charlie Kirk, actually. Haven't even given one interview about Charlie Kirk. It felt icky to me. I think that in the coming weeks, there's going to be a lot of financial reports that are coming out, and
Hold on 1 second. Shout out real quick. Why do you all feed Candace's lies and wicked behavior by watching her podcast? We don't. I'm just going to literally, I appreciate you. And you may not know, we haven't watched her channel over here in several months. Well, we might, dunk on some dumb things she said on X, but please understand, if a small YouTube content creator with 70,000 subscribers is making a big difference in a channel with multi-millions, thank you for I appreciate the honor of you saying that I make such a big difference. I don't think that's the case. I don't believe that's the case at all. That's not how content works on this side of the camera. I'm just telling you that's not how it works. But watch this. That's exactly what she wants. More clicks and views give her more power. I think you mean to refuse. I refuse to watch any of her podcasts, which, again, I don't either. I just decided earlier today, I said, I really believe that now that the evidence is out there, I do believe that she's going to become more and more unhinged. And I believe that we're going to watch the true descent of her channel. So therefore, that's why I wanted to watch it. But again, we're not going to make it a regular occurrence. I just said, hey, I'm just going to watch it. But I mean, tell me if you feel that that's inappropriate and out of line. I don't, one time watching, again, if you think that my channel, which again, I appreciate the honor of that statement. If you feel like that I'm making such a difference, which is honorable, I don't know if I'm doing that. Not when you have multi-millions of subscribers and me with 70,000. Now, y'all can make a difference by hitting that like button, though. Shout out. Let's go.
First and foremost, do not believe that Tyler Robinson killed Charlie Kirk. I want to be very clear on that. There's old footage of Tyler Robinson that is now circulating.
And as I get into the intersection, people.
This is another good one. So Candace Owens went on this huge spiel a while ago about how the text messages that were involved in all of the documents between Tyler Robinson and his alleged boyfriend, girlfriend, whatever that was, that they were fake. They were fabricated because in the texts that were produced, Tyler Robinson uses the word vehicle, and that no teenager, no young person, according to Candace, actually says vehicle. They would say car. So she then found this footage, which is body cam footage, where Tyler Robinson or his mother, I believe, got into a car accident, and he uses the word car in the video that Candace shared. The only issue is that in the same video footage, which you will see here, he also says vehicle. He uses both words, but Candace was insisting, no. He didn't say vehicle in the text messages. That's fake. Nobody says vehicle. And then she posts a selectively edited clip because this is what she does. She lies on purpose.
There was a vehicle in the lane.
Tyler certainly refers to it as his car, not his vehicle.
I mean, she has this same footage. That's like, this is what I don't understand. People are going to post the full footage. Why are you selectively editing clips to push a narrative when the same video contains proof that disproves you? He says vehicle.
Vehicle in the lane.
He wrote me a letter on May 2nd this year.
First and foremost, that letter he is holding up, he is severely misrepresenting. Those sentences are real. I'm saying you're severely misrepresenting the contents and you're doubling down on your lie. I told you to publish the full letter that Charlie wrote you, not lines of it. Okay? It's a lie by omission.
New York Post got a hold of that letter. They've now published it. Charlie Kirk expressing his love for Israel. No attacks on Israel, just advice on how to fight lies and reach the next generation.
November 25th, I obviously tweeted, Macrons have executed upon and paid for my assassination. I report to the FBI.
This is a crazy
of course,
story.
I reported it to the FBI. I did not at all hear back from the FBI. And I will say, I didn't go through an official channel and send an email, and I should do that. But I did send a text message to somebody very high up.
If Candace is available, we would sincerely welcome her participation in that live stream at our studio here in Phoenix.
So I accept it with whistles and bells, everything. I fully accept. You can pick the place, you can pick the time, but no, they need to have it in person in Phoenix on December 15th, or they cannot have me at all.
Yeah, I remember this. If you guys don't recall, Candace Owens apparently said that she wanted to have an in-person conversation or debate with Turning Point's team. They offered her a chance to come do it, and she said, no. I'm busy that day. You know, I have other things to do.
It's her husband's
Why
birthday.
can't we just do it virtually through Zoom? And they said, no, we want to come in. We want to do it in person so people can't feed you answers, so you don't have a production team. We're going to record it. We'll stream it. We'll give it out to all the people who want to watch it, but come in person and sit down with us. And her cult-like followers were like, why would she go to Turning Point's headquarters? They're going to kill her just like they did Charlie. It's just nonsense.
Total nonsense.
No one, and I mean absolutely no one, outside of my husband and Erica Kirk has the power to shut me up. There's nobody that has the capacity to get me to shut up about this except for Erica Kirk and my husband. I'm not going to stop unless Erica Kirk asks me to stop.
On multiple occasions, saying, I'll stop if Erica Kirk asks me to. We all know what happened after that.
If Erica Kirk asks me to be quiet, I will be quiet.
Stop. To stop.
I just do not accept any of that. Obviously, for this to have been pulled off, there had to have been multiple people involved. There had to have been people at Turning Point that were complicit in having this happen.
You said that people at Turning Point were complicit in his murder.
No, my exact sentence that I said was that there were people at Turning Point who are engaged in a cover-up.
No, that's not what you said, Candace. Again, this is 12 minutes later in the same exact video. She can't even keep up with all of her lies and all of the things that she says she knows for a fact. This is what happened.
I'm going to take a break, and we're going to take a station break because I really need to get your opinion. I need to get your opinion. I'm going to pull a picture up on the screen, and I would love to get your thoughts, your initial thoughts. So in the chat, I need get your thumbs ready, get your keyboards warmed up, get loose, even if you haven't even been commenting yet. I'm going to put a picture on the screen. I would love for you to give me your opinion of this picture, your first thoughts about this picture. Of course, keep it family friendly, okay? All right, let me see. Okay, here it comes. All right, I'm gonna put this up on the screen. I just want to get your thoughts. Give me your opinions. What is this? I'm just gonna put it there. Y'all tell me, take a second, comment. What are we doing here? What is going on here? Why does she dress like this? Now, I know I just went on this little tirade and said that Candace was given to a reprobate mind. Does reprobate mind transition into the way you dress? And actually, the lady next to her, she that top right there, she done stole it out of somebody's grandma's couch in their formal living room. What are we doing? Right, it's giving thrift store. It's giving thrift store raid. She done went to Italy and is raiding thrift stores. That's what we're doing. I can't figure it out any more than that. I just had to figure. I'm just sorry, y'all. What are we doing? What is going on? Somebody's grandma is mad about that crocheted quilt is missing. What is going on? Eclectic chic? That's thrift mart chic. That's what I'm getting right here. She raiding thrift stores, man. This is exactly what I don't know what these patterns are. I'm not a fashion guy, but I can tell you right now, this doesn't match. I have no idea what's going on, but it doesn't match. What is going on here? Do they have different dress fashion standards in Spain or Italy or wherever? I mean, what in the world is going on? This looks like you lost your luggage. Like your luggage got lost in customs and you just had to get whatever you could get. Like, that's what this looks like to me. I'm sorry. Timu Stepford Wives is crazy diabolical sentence. I did not actually expect that one. Yeah, that's probably true. I'm not saying that parts of them are not nice. It's just they don't go together. The top might go well with some pants. The bottom might go well with a different color blouse, but they don't go together. They are like against each other, like they're fighting. Like the colors are fighting one another. Like they're actually in war. Like how is this a thing? All right, let me stop. I apologize. That's terrible, man. That was very mean of me. I'm sorry. Let's go back and finish this up. Shout out to the best live channel on the internet.
When your story is ever changing, when it's built upon emotion and conspiracy and keeping people paranoid, you can't even keep up with all of your own lies.
No, you didn't.
I believe
Sorry,
that
you didn't.
thoroughly.
Candace, you didn't say that.
There had to have been people at Turning Point that were complicit in having this happen.
You said there were people at Turning Point complicit in his murder.
Okay.
That's what you said.
I'm certain he is going to probably be doing a lot of interviews in the near future. I just cannot see how this would lead to anything other than a full confession from the government about the military's involvement in his assassination. Like I said, I'm going to put together a fundraiser.
Yeah, if you guys don't remember, the U.S. military was involved in it, along with Mormons and beekeepers and people in red shirts and the 12
Maroon
cell phones who were on the campus, and who else? Egypt and the spy planes. Whatever happened to all of those things? So that's right. She was wrong. They turn out to make no sense, and she just moved on because evidence doesn't matter.
Here for you.
Yes, that's
I do believe
Virginia.
you are a missing piece of this. I don't know what comes next, but I just want you to know that like you have an ally in me, and I hope you see that I am a fighter. And when I see good people and bad things happen to them, I will fight.
We didn't know what it was going to lead to. And I was like, I mean, I couldn't have been more deferential in saying that this could literally lead to nothing. You know, like, hey, this guy said this, whatever. And then all of a sudden you guys every day are obsessing over it. Won't let it go. I had him on the show. That was it.
Another donor who was at the Aspen event actually says that they do remember Charlie mentioning Erica if, you know, situation, something happened, that Erica would know what to do.
So this was another huge one. Candace was saying that Erica Kirk shouldn't be leading Turning Point, and Turning Point was saying, well, actually, Charlie Kirk said that if anything were to ever happen to him, that Erica should step up, or that she would step up, and she would be well fit to lead at Turning Point. Candace said that if they had that video, they would show it. They didn't show it to meet Candace's demands right at the moment, and all of Candace's followers were like, oh, if Turning Point had the video, why wouldn't they show it? They'd easily debunk her. Well, Turning Point has since revealed the video. At the Women Leadership Summit a couple of weeks ago, they showed the video. Guess what? Candace Owens still doesn't believe it. She thinks it's doctored. She thinks it's AI, because again, no matter any evidence, it does not matter to her.
People who said that they did remember it, I cannot stress this enough, the donors who were in attendance in Aspen are telling me that Charlie never said this. We don't know where it's going to end, but we are going to keep asking questions until we get clear answers.
Candace, it may be that the person in the media spewing bullshit to the public is you.
Exactly. And she got really humiliated and really embarrassed and pressed when she went on to Piers Morgan, because despite what I might disagree with Piers on and how I think that, you know, he just farms clicks and outrage on social media by bringing on the most controversial people and letting them have a screaming match, he pressed her. And, you know, she doesn't really do that. She only does her own podcasts and goes on to other shows and episodes of people who hype her up and, you know, sniff her butt and tell her that it smells good. But the reason that Candace Owens is able to do this,
That's
the reason
gross.
that she does do this, and the reason that none of this is going to change, despite any evidence that is brought forth during the prosecution or during the trial, is because it is her whole identity. The people who are fully bought into Candace Owens don't care about evidence. They don't care about a court filing. They don't care about a video of Tyler Robinson. They don't care about forensic details or ballistics. This became their identity a while ago, and Candace has framed herself as the one who's just asking questions, or as she would say, axing questions. She thinks that she's the only one capable of telling the truth and that everyone else is lying, whether it be the media, the prosecutors, the government, the military, everything. Everyone else is compromised. Even Charlie's widow is compromised by Israel, and she's suspicious, and the whole thing is fake. Once somebody is that deep into a narrative, new evidence is not going to pull them out of it. In almost all circumstances, it's not going to happen. A lot of the time, it just gets absorbed into the next conspiracy. That's what people don't understand, right? If the prosecution shows evidence, the response is not going to be, wow, maybe I was wrong. Maybe what I did say and, you know, parrot for months at a time was just wrong. Maybe I should apologize. You guys think that she has the guts, the courage, the actual intention behind her to say, okay, maybe I was wrong. I apologize. Absolutely not. She doesn't have that integrity. And for Candace and all these people who follow her, the response, as we've already seen, is going to be, see, this is how deep the cover-up goes. She's already done it. She's on X right now arguing with people and saying that certain details brought forth in the preliminary hearing or trial, that it doesn't add up. She's arguing right now on X, saying that it's all a cover-up, that it's all fake. And it's sad to see how many people have bought into this. It sounds insane when I think we, and I say we as a collective, like rational-minded people.
And let's also just point out the link for this, the moderate case, is down in the description of this video. But let's just point out the fact that these people will not stop. No matter what evidence you give them, they're always going to go jump over that. The goalposts will sprout legs and move in another direction. And no matter what, you're never going to get them to actually acquiesce and say, you know what, you're right. Or this is the end of it. And this is the conclusion. We have enough information. We feel comfortable saying, I guarantee you, if Tyler Robinson gets up and says that he's guilty and confesses and pleads guilt, they will still come up with a way to say that it's not true. I mean, for crying out loud, there are people who are saying that what we saw with Charlie Kirk was a hologram, for crying out loud. So, and with a straight face, said it was a hologram, and that Charlie Kirk is hiding somewhere in some hidden bunker. That's crazy work, but that's what they do. All right, let's keep this going. Let's go.
When we observe this, but psychologically with these people, it makes sense. There's actually a famous example from the 1950s where a lot of researchers studied a doomsday group, right? They were psychologists, and they studied this group that essentially believed the world was going to end on a specific date and that aliens were going to rescue the humans. And as you could have guessed, the day came and nothing happened. There was no flood. There was no aliens. The world did not end. And instead of just admitting that they were wrong, a lot of them actually doubled down even harder, because admitting that they were wrong would have had to say, or would have meant to them, that they admit that they embarrassed themselves. They rearranged their lives around this entire plot, this entire day that they thought was going to be the end of the world, and they defended something crazy, and then they told everybody else that they were blind, they were stupid for not believing it, that they did all of this for nothing. The same is true for Candace and her followers. And having to admit that you were wrong, especially when it's something that you have been adamant, insistent on for months and months and months, that you have made your entire brand and identity around, be honest, Candace Owens is known for nothing other, at least right now, nothing other than her conspiracies regarding Israel and Charlie Kirk. Sometimes kind of conflating the two to say that Israel is actually the ones who killed Charlie Kirk. It's a brutal thing for the human brain to accept. The fact that, what I've been saying is wrong, that what I've been saying is a lie. And when you know it's a lie, when you know that what you're saying is BS and nonsense, that is an ego thing too. When you're pointed out, or when people point out that you're wrong, that you're lying, that you're stupid, that you're inconsistent, nobody is going to say, yeah, you're right. Especially not Candace, when she has built a platform of millions upon millions of people who are all speculating in the same way, who are all conspiratorial. So it becomes easier to add another explanation and another conspiracy than to admit that your entire narrative has collapsed, which is the exact reason that she is now, during the preliminary hearing, again, going in on Turning Point and saying that it's all fake, it's a fabrication. That's how this kind of conspiracy content works. If somebody, again, has spent months believing that Tyler Robinson, Candace said that he wasn't even on the campus at some point. Initially, yeah. She doesn't believe that. She then said that there were multiple Tyler Robinson look-alike plants. But if they believe this, if they believe that the evidence in some cases is fake, in other cases it's not good enough, if they believe that Charlie Kirk's widow is somehow involved or suspicious, that Turning Point was complicit, as she said, where 12 minutes later she says, no, I didn't say that. If they believe these things, if they believe that they're the only people brave enough to expose it, that they are the ones, the populist mindset, right? They're all lying to you, they're all corrupted, they're all compromised, then these people aren't just going to abandon this entire narrative because a courtroom presents evidence and convicts a specific person for murder. Because when you create this, when you garner up this support and make it your identity, you now have something to lose. So if these people admit they're wrong, they're not just changing their mind about the case. They have to admit that they got manipulated, and they're not going to do that because they don't want to feel that, which again leads to them taking.
Let me also point out a couple of, about a week and a half ago, we had Ann Kinto, please forgive me, on the show. She's a behavioral expert dealing with cults. And we talked about this exact phenomenon, and she gave some really good advice. What cults do is they fill in a lot of the blanks in people's lives, and they create a narrative that those persons who buy into a cult agree with and embrace. That narrative becomes their identity. That narrative becomes what they believe in, whether it be, again, that, a comet is going to come and draw us all away, or the earth is flat, or fill in the blanks, whatever it is. That's what the cult does. And you're not going to logically argue somebody out of a cult. You actually have to change the story that they've embraced. And you actually have to create a new story. And the best story is the gospel. The best story is the gospel, that we are sinners in the hands of an angry God. And we one day will have to answer for what did we do with Christ. And there is the problem. So there's that. But to this point that we're seeing here, people who are involved in Cantifa, they've embraced to this point that, again, the cult ideas are their entire persona. There's their entire personality, and they really can't move from it because it is exactly who they are. That's why there's a certain type of person that, and you know these people, there's a certain type of person that really falls into the category of chasing after Candace. There's a certain type of person that is just like primed to be a Cantifa member. And y'all have met them before. And it's just something to think about, something to consider is how do we help them reevaluate the story that they've embraced? Because Candace has given them the story that everything is a question. Yeah, Lionel, absolutely. Lionel, bless his heart. He's too old to be that stupid. It's sad to watch that old man like that because, I mean, he's what, 1,000 years old or whatever? He was Moses's school bus driver. I mean, the dude is old as pond water. And he's stupid. Like, dude, you're retarded in 4K. You too old and your camera's too good to be that doggone stupid. And I'll just say it, Lionel Nation or whatever it is, it's an abomination that he's that retarded in 4K. I mean, dude, you got a great camera and everybody can see, the wrinkles and liver spots and we can hear how dumb you are. It's a sad state of affairs. Back to my point. I forgot where I was going. I really did. I got lost. Y'all threw me off over there. You threw your boy off. Talking crazy, man. Stop it. So when we're looking at Candace and we're looking at these Cantifa members, it's just something to think about. Like, how do you help them reevaluate the story that they've embraced that has become their identity? And so when Candace has put this narrative out there that everything is fake, everything is to be challenged, I'm just asking questions, and so on and so forth. No, you're literally undermining reality by throwing out these stupid postulations and making them valid. And it's just dumb. It's just retarded. Shout out for sure. But hey, you know what is not? You know what's amazing? Furball said this with the 10. Candy wore another hideous dress. No palm trees on this one, but still no bueno. I sent it to you in email, and I did pull it up. Thank you so much for that, Furball Forever. I appreciate it. Thank you for the 10 and supporting the channel. Thank you for becoming a brand new member. Nana, Deborah. Thank you so much for that, as well as Words Mean Things. Shout out to y'all. Welcome. Glad to have y'all. Thank you so much for joining. Let's finish this one up because I think this is a great video. He's doing an excellent job. Shout out to this young man. Let's finish it up. Let's go.
The easier path, which is to say that the evidence was planted, the judge was corrupt, the jury was installed, the witnesses are lying, the trial is a show trial, which is what Candace Owens literally called it today.
Yep.
When it started, she said that this is the show trial. Just all of these things. They'll say the media is coordinating it. The government is behind it, so of course the DOJ is involved, and everybody who disagree with them when they see the evidence is part of this machine. They're all the ones being brainwashed. We're the only ones capable of telling the truth. That's why people like Candace survive this stuff. The difference between Candace and people who engage in other conspiracies that are just nonsense is that Candace is actually very talented in how she goes about doing it. Yes, she's stupid. Yes, she's been called out. Yes, she has quite literally debunked herself, as we showed you, or as I showed you, sometimes within 10 minutes of herself in her statements in the same interview. But she's very talented behind a camera. And the people who have employed her from Turning Point to PragerU to Daily Wire, they will all tell you this. She is talented. Doesn't mean she's right.
At
she's
what?
Talented. But again, it doesn't matter what evidence comes out for Candace Owens because she's just going to invent a new conspiracy or she's going to double down, and her audience is going to feel like they get something out of that too. They get to feel like they are part of the small group of people, again, who really see what's going on, while everyone else is either too stupid or brainwashed to understand. And that's actually a powerful psychological feeling. It gives these people certainty and a status and makes them feel as if they're smarter than everyone without actually requiring them to understand the evidence better than anyone else. So this is why I don't think this hearing is going to destroy Candace Owens with the people who are already locked in. Like, her credibility with the outsiders has long been destroyed. To everyone outside of her bubble, she already looks discredited, like an absolute maniac. But again, inside of that bubble, this isn't the end of the conspiracy. In fact, it could only possibly be the start of a newer one. All people.
Okay, let me push back on that. There are people who are fringe Cantifa members. Not everybody who rocks with Candace is not rocking with her like all full bore. There are some people who realize, like, hey, I got some questions about Charlie Kirk's unaliving, right? I just got some questions. Candace says she's asking questions. I can rock with people that ask questions. Got it. That fringe of people, that number of people is going to reduce significantly. Now, they're going to be still rabbit dyed in the wool, no matter what, they're going to rock with Candace. Let those people continue to languish, and we'll just keep mocking them until morale improves. But there's a quite a few people that we can still snatch from the flames, right? We can still snatch them from the fire. We can still help them out because all they were doing was just asking questions. And I think that was probably, and I don't think anything's wrong with asking questions. But you do realize that there's a limit to the questions and the answers that you can get. That's just it. So I'll keep moving on. So let's finish this up.
People are innocent until proven guilty, and this trial will carry out in the case that they say you are going to prison for life for the murder of Charlie Kirk. This will be the start of the next season of episodes and podcasts for Candace Owens. She's not going anywhere. But that's all I got for today's video, guys. If you enjoyed the video, make sure you subscribe to the channel, like the video. It helps push it out to more people. And don't leave the video without letting me know your thoughts about this whole situation and Candace and everything that she's been doing, along with some of the details of the pretrial down in the comments section below. If you guys want to keep up with me on other social media platforms, there are links down in the description that will allow you to do that. Also, consider becoming a paid member and subscriber to the YouTube channel. It helps me tremendously. I do all of this independently, so all of the support goes an extremely long way, and I'm super appreciative of all of you who have chosen to do that thus far. Again, let me know your thoughts. Don't leave the video without letting me know what you think down in the comments section below. And as always, if you made it this far and stuck it out with me, I appreciate you, and take care of yourselves, stay safe, and I'll see you in the next one.
All right, I appreciate Young Blood. Thank you so much, Moderate Case. Moderate Case, thank you so much. What do you say here? What'd you say here? Gail, thank you so much for the 10. Tucker just said that Candace has the irony of her intent. What does he mean by that? What does he mean by that? I don't even rock with Tucker. I don't agree with the lion's share of his positions. What does he mean by that, I wonder? I don't think anything about her. I think the only thing that's ironic about Candace is that she's been able to get this far afield without anybody questioning where was she on September 10th. That's the only thing I could think of. All right, we got two more to finish up. I think these will be really quick. I think you'll get some good things out of them. Shout out to you all. Thank you so much to everybody who hung out with us tonight. It's been a lot of fun always. So let's bring this up in here. Let's go. The Hill.
The preliminary hearing for Tyler Robinson, the man accused of murdering Charlie Kirk, is underway this week. Right-wing commentator Candace Owens still raising her questions about Kirk's death and suggesting Robinson was not the murderer.
She also had an ongoing feud with Erica Kirk since Erica took up the role as Turning Point USA's CEO. As the hearing began, Owens wrote on X, quote, "What you can expect, aside from Erica's tears, are an orbit of her payrolled influencers trying to convince you that the unvetted evidence is overwhelming and undeniable. Sit back and watch the predictable show. The real trial will come later. Charlie's army is growing. Ultimately, truth will win."
Owens has said that one of her main motivations for investigating Charlie Kirk's death is that she and him were close friends, but some, like TPUSA spokesman Andrew Colvett, have called that claim into question. Colvett responded to Owens on X, writing, "Candace, you and Charlie were not friends. He managed you. He kept things light and polite so you wouldn't turn on the organization." Goes on to say, "This is your central foundational lie. You are not his friend. You are not his defender. You were his tormentor, and now you torment his wife and the organization he built. Candace, you are a fraud."
So to me, that's a lie. Like, they were good friends. He sent her apparently pictures of his children when they were born in the hospital. As a mom, I know that's a very intimate moment, and no one does that. That wasn't their good friend. That's not like an associate situation.
I am broadly speaking on TPUSA's side on this, but let's be a little careful.
Don't be dramatic.
Not overreaching here. They were very good friends at one point. I don't think they had I don't really know, but I don't think their relationship ever really had a falling out. I think Charlie did disagree with her and, didn't want to have any kind of confrontation with her because he still did like her personally. That's what I gather. That's really neither here nor there, because what she's doing now is so evil and wrong and harmful to the widow of Charlie, whom she doesn't like for, it seems, intensely personal reasons, etc. She's also just totally wrong, and I don't know. And people just want to do the just asking questions thing. Fine. The questions are very resolved. I don't know what
Wait,
to tell
stop.
you.
There's an ongoing trial. Resolution looks like the end of the trial.
That he is guilty.
Resolution looks like the end of this trial, correct?
At the end
That's
of
the
this trial,
resolution. Then
he
maybe
will
we
be
can have
found
this
guilty.
conversation. But until we have this trial come to fruition, we can have as many influencers as she's pointing to argue all the facts. Influencers get it wrong, and people online, YouTube shows, they get it way wrong, and then you'll see somebody in jail for 20 years or acquitted. And I got all this evidence on YouTube that, oh, they're going to get off, and then wrong, because a jury has a job to do. Take only the evidence that they're allowed to take, review it, and come up with a conclusion
And the
that
evidence
this person
being given.
But she's critiquing the evidence. And so we'll see if they are also critiquing the evidence.
She's the YouTuber who doesn't know what she's
she can be wrong, but I'm saying, like, there's no reason that somebody who was a friend of somebody who's now deceased can have concerns around a trial surrounding their death. I don't think that this woman, I don't even like Candace Owens. Personally, her views have disturbed me for years, but I don't think that it is worthy of telling her that she needs to be silenced after her friend was killed and she wants more answers around the death. You don't have all the answers because the trial's not done.
In an abstract way. But I'm saying the specific things she says are obviously wrong.
What is she said that they're not able to corroborate, like the evidence of the text messages that were submitted. There's no specific information that says that these weren't altered in any way. They're just the text messages that were submitted.
She says that, but that's incorrect. So,
okay, so
I know she said that, but the text messages are obviously not altered and are text messages from that guy to his lover. By the way, his lover is testifying in this trial that they were text messages from Tyler Robinson and that Tyler Robinson confessed that he was the killer. So you have someone who's going to testify to that. You have the text messages themselves. You have video surveillance footage of him going onto the roof. You have his DNA on the gun that was used to kill Charlie Kirk. She thinks it was an exploding mic, I think, planted by Israel. There's no evidence of any of that.
There's no evidence.
Like, what if she said aliens came down, a ghost appeared, and stabbed him through the heart?
Stop.
Like, I would say there's no evidence of that. And you would say, well, she's just asking questions.
No.
Like, well,
no,
okay, but she's asking a question that there's an answer to, and the answer to is no.
Okay, I wouldn't say that she's just asking questions in that case of the alien and the stabbing through the chest, okay? I think that that's a little bit absurd. I think that when people are grieving, and if that truly was her friend the way she describes, we can't dismiss it as not a friend. Obviously, we have the information that shows in the relationship, text messages that show that they were friends and had some sort of relationship. And so when people lose somebody that's significant to them in the way she describes, they go through a variety of emotions. One of those could be denial, just not accepting the way that the person died and the way it's presented to them. And so even though I don't think she takes precedence.
So I wanted to allow her to kind of tease us out a little bit more. So I wanted the full segment, not the full segment, but a large swath of it to play, because this is something that's been happening that people do for Candace, and it makes no sense to me. Okay, let's just pretend that Candace and Charlie were as thick as thieves. Okay, let's say they were his best friends. Who would still be more of his best friend? His actual wife, his spouse, the woman that has birthed his children, would still be more of a friend, more of a best friend than Candace. Why do y'all keep giving her duck and cover? This makes no sense. This whole argument, she might be grieving because her friend died. She can't show you any evidence that they had any conversation since 2022. And that lines up with what Andrew Colvett said. But y'all will act like, every time you see a video of him and Erica, y'all come up with a reason that that's fake. But y'all will not see any evidence about Candace and Charlie, but y'all say they were best friends. That makes no sense at all. I don't understand why people do that. And this young lady right here, I really wanted y'all to hear it out, because I'm like, that doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. Like, it doesn't matter how thick of thieves you and your frat brothers from college or your knitting circle are, your spouse should still be more. And there's no reason to believe that Erica was not infinitely more Charlie's friend, his spouse, his confidant. None of that. There's no more evidence. There's no evidence that that's not true. Now, Candace has put out all kinds of crazy, twisted, retarded theories, but those are crazy, twisted, retarded theories that only crazy, twisted, retarded people believe. We are not under any obligation to believe those things. Actually, I'm kind of wondering why Andrew Colvett doesn't ask her to show evidence that she's been in communication with Charlie Kirk anytime after a certain, I don't think since 2022. I think that would be very interesting if Andrew Colvett started saying, hey, why don't you show us your text messages with Charlie Kirk since 2022? If y'all were such good friends, can you show us that conversation that y'all had that he was converting? Can you show us a conversation where whatever he told you in confidence, whatever, but apparently didn't tell his wife or his pastors or his friends? Let us see that. I don't know why people do this. Like, come on, stop. You're smarter than this. Unless, of course, you're a Cantifa member, and then you might be actually clinically retarded. But let's not digress. Let's hold out hope, right? If she was such good friends, Charlie Kirk's wife would still be more. There's no reason to believe otherwise. He wasn't having an extramarital affair. He wasn't cheating on her. She wasn't his side chick. So there's no reason to believe any of that. They weren't having like a little pillow talk. So why do y'all do that? That's a serious question. I would love to know, why do y'all do that? Y'all give Candace all of this duck and cover, but will not say, well, hold on, this is his wife. Like, that should cause you to pause. Like, you know what? It's his wife, right? Why are we sitting there caping for Candace, but not doing the same thing for his wife? Matter of fact, we should be doing this for his wife and not for Candace at all. Truth be told. Truth be told. All right. I just wanted to get that off my chest. Thank you so much for listening. All right, let's go. Green hearts in chat.
In my mind, over how Erica Kirk is grieving, and I don't think she should attack her. She's not the widow. I don't think she should be attacking her. And I've also said that specifically, that she should not be attacking her. But at the same time, I don't think that even as a friend that she doesn't have the space and capacity with somebody with a YouTube show. She's not an elected official. She's not a part of this trial. Doesn't have the authority to have an opinion. That's her good friend, and she obviously is going through a variety of emotions surrounding their death.
I keep saying she's allowed to have an opinion, and I'm not.
That's what she does.
I'm saying the opinion that she has is ill-founded. So,
understood. You might disagree with the opinion, but you know what's going to be the biggest
this
tell?
close to saying the Epstein class took him out.
But the biggest tell about this is going to be watching this trial play out, and then you will feel vindicated because the result of it might be exactly what you were saying it was. And we will see exactly what evidence was presented. People can watch the trial piece by piece, and hopefully that will give her some solace to know that this person is in jail.
Do you think for 1 second that the verdict in the trial is going to change Candace?
You know, and I have to admit, I haven't watched this far into this. I stopped after the little segment that I just stopped right there. Because I said, oh, this would be good for us to have a conversation on. Why is Candace even an option? Like, why do you care that much? She's not, she's just his friend. Like, he has a whole mom and dad. He's got a whole wife and children and a whole team of people that are infinitely more involved in Charlie Kirk's life than Candace Owens. This makes no sense. I'm sorry, the woman is frustrating.
Owens' mind. No, the verdict's going to come down, and she's going to say he was set up, he's been framed, the government did this, the jury's being paid off by Israel, and here's some, here's some, let me put some vibes out there about how the jurors might have been tainted by Israel or the Epstein class or whatever, or TPUSA themselves is paying them. Like,
she's already
come up with some explanation.
She's already been challenging the Cellbrite because it's an Israeli product, the cell phone data aggregator. She's already challenging that already. So you know she's not going to be satisfied with the evidence that comes out in court. She's already showing you this.
For why this unequivocal verdict is not definitive, and in fact, actually is only more evidence that her theory is correct, that he was not the one who pulled the trigger. Like,
okay, and what about the small chance, right? The small chance that the verdict doesn't come back as you see it coming back.
Well,
then what do you do?
The case, sure.
So then what? So then she has some legs to stand on about there being a different solution
here.
She's
going to say she's right either way.
Right.
But the point is, it doesn't matter. But you could be incorrect here if the jury does not find him guilty. Then what? That's an option because it's literally innocent until proven guilty.
I mean, I'll go.
We'll have to comb through the reasons.
On the gun, there's no question about whether that gun fired the bullet that killed Charlie Kirk. There's surveillance video of him going to the roof. He confessed. He confessed to I believe his parents, in addition to the written statements of his confession to that other person who's going to testify. I mean, it doesn't actually get more unequivocal than that. So you're right. I guess there's some universe where the jury doesn't find that definitive,
Compelling.
but I find that definitive.
So
I
you're
really
going to
do.
stick by your perspective no matter what. And that's what I'm saying. You're the same.
No, if see what she's doing right here is throwing out an if, and she wants you to commit to it. No, I'll say this, Jason. My name is Jason. I will be okay with whatever the jury comes back with. There you go. If they come back with them guilty, amen. If they come back with them innocent, okay. I mean, God is the ultimate judge, so I know that he will judge fairly and rightly. So, okay, fine. Man finds him guilty, okay, fine. We did our very best. But God will ultimately judge. No innocent person will be thrown into hell. There you go. No guilty person will come into heaven. There you go. It's really that easy. It's simple. So she wants him to commit to it right now, but the evidence is very compelling. Like, what do you want me to do with that? I'll wait. I got no problem with waiting. None whatsoever. I got nothing else to do. Well, what do you got to do?
Same boat as Candace Owens. That you're not allowing this trial to play out the way that it should, and let our justice system work.
I've made up my mind based on the evidence. I mean, if the defense presented evidence that caused me to change my mind, I would change my mind. If they'd have to present evidence that one of those things are not true. If they presented evidence that the government had contacted the lover, Tyler Robinson's roommate, boyfriend person beforehand,
Prior to this,
and
that's
said,
problematic.
Then sure, that would be something. Or if they could cast doubt on the forensics evidence, then that would be something. But they're not. But I don't think they're going to be able to do that because it's pretty ironclad. Usually in cases where confessions are later ruled invalid, it's because you were in a police interrogation.
You were given it under duress.
Right.
Yes.
But this is not, that confession wasn't done in that circumstance. He confessed ahead of time. He laid out his plan to this significant friend of his. So that's pretty solid evidence. I don't know what to say. You say you're going to do something and then that thing is done. It had to be a remarkable coincidence if he said he was going to do that and then somebody else did it.
I'm not disagreeing with you. If Tyler Robinson did kill Charlie Kirk and there's overwhelming evidence that already exists in this trial shows that he's liable for everything that happened, then he should go to jail. It's simple. You know what I mean? But I'm also not a person that thinks that there's no world in that their government cover-ups never exist. And so I don't think I'm leaning into conspiracy theory. I'm not leaning into conspiracy theory with
Sorry about that. That is a conspiracy theory. And you have bought into it, and it's so native tongue to you that you honestly don't see that that's a conspiracy. That the government, think about what you're saying. If you just stop and think about the amount of people that have to comply with this thought process, it's gonna be overwhelming. Like, you want me to believe that 5, 10, 30, 50, 100, 150, 1,000 people all played a role in the deletion of Charlie Kirk and the subsequent cover-up, and nobody's come clean? But some Yahoo in her basement running a podcast, she was able to find and figure it all out? That's what I'm supposed to believe? Okay. Or that Tyler Robinson was full of hate and disgust toward Charlie Kirk because of the LGBT community, and he killed Charlie Kirk. Which one makes more sense to you? 150, 500, 1,000 people being involved in this grand conspiracy, or just Tyler Robinson, unalive Charlie Kirk because of the LGBT community? You tell me which one makes more sense to you.
Candace Owens, but I'm certainly not going to give the government the benefit of the doubt. So I'm just going to see what happens here and let the trial play out.
It's not giving the government the benefit of the doubt.
Right, where'd the government come from?
Letting the evidence speak for itself and the evidence does in fact speak for itself pretty unequivocally here.
All right. Well, this is going to be a long story that we're covering over and over again.
More to come on Rising. Stay with us.
All right, so this is going to be on for a while. They're going to be arguing this for a while because, as you know, like I know, this case is going to easily be another year and a half, probably more, because they're not going to even decide until September 1st or whenever that was, September 1st, which is almost a year. And then for the probable cause hearing, and they're going to probably kick the can a whole year, probably well into 2027. And it's sad, but I'm sorry, I'm just reading commentary. Oh, I could have made a poll. That's true. I might make a poll real quick. All right, I got my last one. I'm gonna get out of here, y'all. We got Ruslan. Y'all know Ruslan KD. He's been doing a good job, man, addressing this Candace shenanigans. I thought he's been doing an excellent job, so I like to bring him in every now and then to talk about it. But real quick, I got to see my sister Christelle said this. Boring needs to pick a lane. Calling Candace talented shows that they still fear her. Candace Owens fans don't care about the court debunking her grift, still double tapping. And I agree 100%. That's why I was asking earlier, what is she? Show me evidence that she's hyper talented. And I'm going to still put that out there. Email management, jwitt@jwitt.com. If you feel like Candace was hyper talented, send me an evidence to that point. Here's an example, Jason. Here's this TED Talk. Here's this lecture she did. Here's this debate that she did, a speech. And it really demonstrates her hyper communication skills, how well talented and well poised she is. Here's an example. I would love to see what it is that snookered so many people into believing that she was so talented. And again, I will look at it objectively. You know what I'm saying? I will absolutely look at it objectively because I don't see what it is. I don't see what it is that so many people are just overwhelmed. And, you know, even now they're still falling over her. Oh, she was so talented. Talented at what? Talented at doing what? Like what? Help me understand. I'm trying to learn. I want to know. Shout out to the best live chat on the internet. Shout out to y'all. Let's get this going. We got Ruslan KD in the chat. Come on up in here, brother. Green hearts in the chat when y'all can hear. Let's go, Ruslan.
Candace Owens' career may be over after this trial. That's what some people are saying.
I agree.
Because as the actual evidence is coming out in the Tyler Robinson case, it seems as if she's gotten pretty much everything wrong. Every claim about this case, she has gotten flat out wrong. And now it's all being exposed as Tyler Robinson is on trial, rightfully being held accountable. And it's not looking good for him. And by proxy, not looking good for her. She's propagated much of the conspiracy nonsense around this case. Now, the issue with many Candace Owens fans is they have terrible memories. So we're going to take you down a little memory lane of some of the claims she's made and what's actually coming out in this case. Check this out. It's from September 30th, 2025.
In fact, according to my source, Tyler has never even stepped foot on UVU campus.
Okay, so the issue with Candace is, again, I don't know if she's incompetent and stupid. Maybe she really did get this source. Some wine mom emailed her from the hours of the afternoon while she was getting tipsy and told her this, and that's her source. Or she's deceptive and a liar and pulling this out of thin air. I don't know which one it is.
Okay, I personally do not believe Candace has a third of the sources that she claims. I don't believe it. I don't believe that they exist. I believe she just outright makes up things out of whole cloth. I don't believe she's getting an email, a text message, smoke signal, any of that stuff. She's just making it up out of whole cloth off the top of the dome. She's making it up. There you go. Well, let me ask you a better question, just in case you think that I'm wrong. What is your evidence that she is actually has a source? What is your evidence that a source told her that Tyler Robinson was never at UVU campus? What is your evidence to that? You don't have any. You don't have any. You're just taking her word for it. So now my question back to you is, why are you not just taking my word for it? I'm saying, just like she said, I'm saying that she has no source at all. She's making it up. Why don't you just take my word for it? There you go. And the answer to that question will tell you just how given over to conspiracies and Cantifa you are. If you are arguing with me saying, oh, Jason, you're wrong, you're crazy, Candace said it, and I'm actually saying the exact same thing, but you don't accept what I say, but you do accept what Candace says, there is the problem. There it is. Now, I'm not saying she doesn't have any sources at all. I'm just saying I don't believe she has a third of the sources that she claims. I don't believe it at all. But yeah. Because I don't have 6 million followers. Okay. Do I need to lie and create false and phony and fake narratives in order to get 6 million followers? I might not need those. That might be why God is keeping me from them. Then how about that? Is 6 million followers a sign that she's telling the truth? Is 6 million subscribers a sign that she's doing the right thing? I think we all know that that's probably not the case at all. Let's finish up. Let's go.
Who is Tyler Robinson? What the was he doing there?
I don't
Do you
think
think
Tyler Robinson was there.
you don't
So this is July 6th. She just did Sean Ryan.
think he was there?
I think he's a total patsy.
And then this is what's being revealed in court today with video footage, forensic footage, DNA evidence. The dude was definitely there multiple times.
Were you able to determine at what time or times Mr. Robinson visited the UVU campus on September 10th?
Shout out to Milk Bar
We were
again.
able to establish that Mr.
Oh, I got you,
Robinson
Jim.
had
Thank
been
you,
on
brother.
Campus approximately 4 times throughout the day. Twice before the shooting, the time of the shooting, and then after the shooting later in the evening into the early hours of the 11th.
So this dude was there before it happened, while it happened, and even came back after it happened. You notice cameras everywhere. How are they going to explain it away? They're going to say it's AI. They're going to say it's a body double. They're going to come up with some nonsensical explanation for this. But it's clear as day. And again, people weren't keeping up and really paying attention, or the FBI hasn't released all this evidence yet, but now it's all coming out in trial. And speaking of evidence finally coming to light, they released footage in court of him arriving on campus, on the UVU campus, him walking through the car garage on the UVU campus, going down the stairs, up the stairs. It's him leaving. There's another video they played of him jumping off the roof seconds after the shooting happened.
You believe this to be Mr. Robinson?
I do, yes.
And how long is he out there on the edge of the building?
Just until the reported shot was fired at 12:23 and 28. Individual then stands up and then moves across the building to the north.
Is that what we're seeing happening right now?
It is, yes. They move behind the atrium area on the rooftop to the northeast corner where the white triangle is.
Do you see Mr. Robinson now?
I do, yes. He's just arriving at the corner of the building, almost the top center of the image.
What are we seeing now?
And Mr. Robinson lowering and jumping off of the roof of the Losi building onto the grass area, and then moving away towards Campus Drive.
Okay, so if you're not keeping up, you're talking about footage of him arriving in the campus in his own car, getting out of the car, walking through the car garage, going to the rooftop, him on the rooftop, him coming off the rooftop. All of this is on surveillance footage. Not to mention the DNA evidence of him using his grandparents' gun and the evidence being on the gun. And this is now just breaking that Lance Twiggs, the transferee boyfriend of Tyler Robinson, was an assisted contributor on the towel and screwdriver. Lance Twiggs is expected to testify on behalf of the state against Tyler Robinson with the offer of limited immunity. Okay, so the transferee boyfriend is about to flip against his boyfriend. No, it was a patsy. No, it was a body double. Oh, he wasn't even there. Oh, it was the Egyptian planes. Oh, it was Israel. So how is
the Egyptian planes?
Well, She doesn't think it's Tyler Robinson in the video and is questioning his height. This was my exact point.
That's
The person
crazy.
walking in the video they are presenting is clearly a tall person, well above 6 foot. No way that this is a 5'10" or 5'11". How tall is Lance Twigg? So now she's trying to blame it on the transferee boyfriend. Okay, 5'10". The guy in that video looks way taller than that, in my opinion. So that's what she's saying.
How can you tell from a video how tall somebody is? That's some crazy work. How can you tell how tall he is? And let me make sure I got it right. 5'10", 5'11"? What's 5'12"? 6 foot. Like, how can you tell the difference of literally inches from a video, from a top-down surveillance video? That is some crazy, that is so ignorant. But that's what I'm saying. Like, Cantifa, y'all are following a crazy woman.
Sorry, guys. I refuse to obey the party's final instructions not to believe your own eyes. The video is showing a man that looks to me to be 6 foot minimally, possibly 6'3". Tyler Robinson is 5'11" if you count his hair, according to his mugshot. I do not believe that this is Tyler Robinson. This person chimes in and says, this guy looks like he's 6 foot to you, even though he's looking down and the girl passing by him are significantly taller than him. So she's pointing out that in this image, this is supposed to be Tyler Robinson, and this guy is clearly taller than him. So this person points out that the girl he's next to, within what? They're about the same size. She would then have to be 6'2" as well? So Candace is going off of vibes of what she thinks her height is. She's like Coach Greg with his laser eyes on people's body fat percentage. She has laser eyes to be able to pick out who's 6'2".
He called up Coach
5'10".
Greg.
Yeah, and look, he's clearly hunched over in this. This girl's probably, I don't know, 5'8", 5'9". He's 5'10". This is a great meme to summarize this entire debacle. Candace's brain's trying to reanalyze her theory after her assumptions have blown up. This guy in the white's 10 feet tall, according to Candace. And then you got people spreading this ridiculous AI photo, which is not Tyler Robinson, and saying, oh, how could this be Tyler Robinson? What's the AI photo? Of course it's not going to be Tyler Robinson. Remember all the theories going around about his necklace exploding and the bullet not going through him? Well, this comes up in court in terms of how Charlie Kirk tragically died, and it's really dark.
In that report, does the doctor relate cause and manner of death?
He does, yes.
Okay. And in that report, what is the stated cause of death?
It was stated as a murder.
And manner of death?
It was a gunshot wound to the neck.
I object. It's not stated as a murder. I believe it's stated as a homicide, which is an important distinction.
All right, so I'm going to sustain it.
We're going to split hairs over a murder and a homicide. That's the best that Tyler Robinson's defense has. It's not a murder, it's a homicide. We're actually on trial for the murder, but it was a homicide. This is pointed out on X. It says, new footage just dropped of Tyler Robinson walking around campus. This changes everything. To the that's not him crowd, then his lawyers would have said so instantly. They didn't.
Facts.
They wouldn't be fighting to keep it from the public. They
Facts.
are. The vehicle wouldn't match his description and plates. It does. His parents would have come out denying it. Crickets. The conspiracy theories are all collapsing in real time. So my question to those of you guys that are still on the Candace train, they're like, oh, we're not going to believe the Fed slop. What is it going to take to acknowledge that this was Tyler Robinson, that he's there in his vehicle on video doing the crime? Like, what else? What else? Is the psychosis that bad?
It
that
is.
You're so under this woman's spell that you can see footage of him on campus, see footage of him in his car.
Yep.
They're going to present this DNA evidence. They're going to present it all. It's pretty much an airtight case. And when he's found guilty, there will still be naysayers, and Candace will still be spinning this ridiculous nonsense. All along, the obvious suspects are Tyler Robinson, and now it looks like, I don't know if this is for certain, his alleged BF, who seemingly is going to testify against him. You guys think that's going to happen? What would it take to change your mind? For those of you guys that are still like, what's it going to take? Anyway, let me know your thoughts about this. I'm happy this is all coming to light. Tragically, I think Candace Owens will still remain yapping about this nonsense.
Oh, yeah.
But I'm curious, how much longer will our audience put up with the overt lies and disinformation she's spreading? Let me know your thoughts in the comments.
Shout out to Ruslan KD. I appreciate him for that. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what it will take for Cantifa to wake up. I mean, I pray that they do, but I don't know what it'll take, because it seems like they've been given over to the lies, given over to the false narratives, and they're just eating it down like slop. But what do y'all think? What do you think? It has been a great day. Just want to let you know, tomorrow I'm gonna do one live stream. I haven't done it in a while. We are gonna go back into the rotten, decomposing wildebeest known as the Candace Owens podcast. We will do a live stream tomorrow, reaction to her video, because I think it's going to probably be pretty telling how unhinged she is about what is happening. I think that's going to be a good story. So anyway, I will do that tomorrow. I think it's going to probably be about 5 or 6. Whenever she goes live, I'll make sure you all know about it. So that'll be that. I'm going to probably not do tomorrow's Monday morning meetup, since we're going to be doing that anyway. We'll be doing Candace's show tomorrow evening, so that's what we'll do. I do want to say thank y'all to everybody who's tapped in with us today. It's been a long one, though. This is a good one, though. I do appreciate it. Thank you so much for the very kind, very supportive supers. I appreciate you. Welcome to all the new members. Appreciate y'all joining us and all that good jazz. It means a lot. Glad you all are hanging out with us. If you don't mind, if you did not already, please hit that like button. Help a brother out. Help a brother out. Hit that like button. But we're gonna just do one. This is a one-off. This is a one-off, Nana, Deborah. We're not gonna do it on a regular basis. We used to do it every one of them. We're not doing that. I just want to see how the wheels on the bus fall off in light of the trial that we watched this past week. That's it. So don't worry. If you don't tap in tomorrow, we'll be back to a normal show on Tuesday. I promise you. We will not be doing this on a regular basis. I will tell you that ahead of time. Yeah, I'm going to go check out Fax Me a little bit later as I get ready to finish up my chores. I'm going to check that out for sure. Well, thank you, Christelle. What do you say here? Candace isn't done. Her career will survive because people back anyone versus Daily Wire. She's just a lib and atheist building up her Islam out of pure ignorance. I can dig that. I can respect that. I'm going to say that it's going to be, her support is going to become very different. I think that's what I'm trying to say. But I don't think it's going to be completely over, even though my thumbnail for tomorrow's show has like a tombstone and it says the Candace Owens podcast on it. Even though that's the thumbnail, I don't think it'll be completely done away with. I'm just holding out hope, though. I'm hoping that it will be, though. But for real, I appreciate y'all. Thank you, everybody who's tapped in. Yes, if you're somebody who really did believe or does believe that Candace is super uber intelligent, she's just this paragon of intelligence, and you have a video evidence to that fact, could you email management, jwitt@jwitt.com? I would love to see what it is that y'all see. I would love to see what it is that you saw. And if not, it's okay. It's perfectly okay. But I would like to, maybe wrap my mind around that and see what it was that people saw. All right, we're just rocking and popping. Everybody, I want to say thank you guys so much. If you don't mind, hit the like button, all that kind of good stuff. Tip your waiters on the way out the door. Drop those green hearts, all that kind of good jazz. We're going to do this again, Lord willing, tomorrow. So I'll see you all tomorrow. I do have a video dropping later on tonight and one dropping tomorrow during the day. So I'll still make sure that's available. But I'll see you all probably about 5 or 6 tomorrow, Lord willing, and we'll tap into the show. So until next time, everybody, grace and peace. See you soon. Thank you so much for tuning in to another episode of the Jay Witt Podcast. If you enjoyed today's show, please do me a favor and hit me up with that 3-piece special. Like the video, subscribe, and of course, share it with somebody who would also enjoy this type of content. And make sure you leave a comment because I do pin the best comments to the top. So thank you so much for tuning in today. And until next time, everybody, grace and peace.